Alright, we're rolling. I almost said a bad word, but that would have been really dumb, like 1 second in. Alright, there's not really a lot of cold open to be had here. This is What's Up. We're doing it at the usual What's Up time. The usual What's Up place. And much like last year, we're going to have an episode that is going to be mostly all about the Game Awards, except not, because also it's going to be mostly all about Death Stranding.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe also mostly all about other stuff? I don't know. We got a lot to talk about. This is going to be a big one. This is going to be a big boy episode today.
It's going to be meaty, a.k.a. thick.
So, that's about 30 seconds. So, really quick, I will say that this episode is brought to you by our patrons like Ongo Comics, Kwa, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Denton, Nestor Flores, Sodasun0424, and Unagamer75. And if you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it would really help us out. And we appreciate your support.
Thank you. Wait, come on. God damn it.
Fight a little bit.
I just trimmed my nails.
Yeah, I don't know why, my dexterity always gets weird when I trim my nails back. Someday I'll have it perfected to a PBS intro. This show is brought to you by viewers like you, because it is. Whether you're a patron viewer or you're a regular viewer, you know, unless you've got, like, an ad block up. Because even if you have YouTube Premium, we still get a tiny slice of revenue out of that. Also, I made weird sound waves because I wiggled my mic. Womp womp. That would be a drink rule, except we don't have a drinking game for What's Up yet, and we probably shouldn't, because whatever it would be bad.
Yeah. But,
So, where do you want to begin today, Lucky?
That's what I was going to ask, because, like, the two big topics of today, as we said, they're going to be the Video Game Awards and Death Stranding.
Yes,
Omega said he has finally beaten it.
Last week, I took a couple of nights, and I was like, okay, tonight, especially one night, I was like, tonight I'm beating Death Stranding. And, ooh, that was a thing.
Yeah, like I said, like, once you get into, like, that final roll, it goes. It just goes.
Yeah.
And, yes, the other thing is the Video Game Awards. It only happened, 2 nights ago? Yeah.
Yes. We just before and during we were recording Let's Talk.
Yeah, and there are opinions on the Video Game Awards from a lot of different angles.
Yes, it was interesting to watch, and I watched it. I know some people are a little disappointed because of how the announcements and publicity were.
Yeah.
Which I could see, so we can... do we want to just go ahead and start there?
Yeah, let's just start with the Game Awards.
Okay, so before we even get into the award winners, there was the whole show, and I've watched it back now with, like, people's commentary, and I watched some of it live, so there were announcements and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Xbox revealed the name and form factor of their next console, the Xbox Series X, which I felt like everybody in our community was kind of chuckling about, but I watched a couple of people react, and they were like, let's go, dude, this is the coolest. I'm like, really? Really?
Well, like
I don't know. Again, we're not plugged in very deep to Xbox, so whatever, dude.
Yeah, but again, like, I'm a Nintendo and Sony kind of person. Like, nothing against Xbox. It's just their game selection has never really grabbed me.
Yeah, so. They're buying up more and more studios, so maybe someday, but also they've at least been smart, and they usually offer Xbox-exclusive games on Windows computers eventually. Like, yeah. Xbox Game Pass isn't even Xbox Game Pass anymore. I think it's Microsoft, so it's on your PC too. So they've really broadened that out, which is a good approach for them, because I think it's smart that Microsoft doesn't necessarily separate the fact that, hey, we make the most popular functional operating system for computers, and also we have a video game console, which is basically just a very specialized PC, so why don't we just combine our two markets? So that was smart. It was a little goofy, and I was like watching the trailer, I'm like, is this Death Stranding 2? Because the imagery was... I don't know if you've gone back and watched the video, because I think you ghosted out during part of it, but the imagery is real Death Stranding-y.
Like bubbles, and wasn't there like a monolith?
And... there's bubbles, there's a monolith, there's like terrain moving through time and stuff, like flowers growing in time-lapse, and then all of a sudden Master Chief is there, and you're like, what? And then there was a weird obelisk thing in the ocean. We saw a trailer for a Gearbox game that's not a PlayStation exclusive, I don't think, but it is going to be a PS5 launch title, Godfall, which they called a looter slasher, which I guess means that since nobody likes Blizzard anymore, and nobody should because they're horrible communist sellouts, I'm not afraid to take shots. Blizzard's on my naughty list right now, and they're probably not ever going to get off because they're too popular in China, but apparently Gearbox is trying to steal the Diablo genre back by calling it a looter slash, and I'm just like, isn't it just literally Diablo? But whatever.
I don't know. Like, there's still there's still popular like those types of games outside of fucking Diablo.
Sure, but when everybody talked about Borderlands, for instance, it was Diablo with guns, right? So I'm like, I just thought it was interesting that they were like trying to pass it off as like a new thing, like, hey, we're the Borderlands guys, but now with swords, and I'm like, this is going full circle. It's funny. This game was apparently announced, but there's a really interesting trailer for I guess it's a tactic game. I'm gonna guess turn-based. Called Humankind, which really interested me because I'm like, oh, this has got like hexes and shit. It looks like Civ. Dude, I love me some Civ. So
it did look interesting. It did depart from Civ in the way that you, instead of picking a historical leader, you apparently get to make your own.
Yes, and your avatar is very customizable and will change through time as you do stuff, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, I did too.
So I'm like, that's neat. Also, I think it sounded like it starts a little bit earlier than Civ usually does. In Civ, usually you have, like, one of, like, pottery or agriculture or something. This was like, no, you're hunter-gatherers, you're killing fucking mammoths for food, nerd. I'm like, okay, it's interesting. We'll see how far it goes. The one thing I don't like about Civ is I played Civilization Call to Power, which was a really weird spin-off game, which used the Civ branding, but wasn't by, I think, directly by whichever company this is. Is it Firaxis? I think it is.
I'm pretty sure it's Firaxis.
Whoever the actual owners of Activision was like, wait, we publish this brand, we can make a Civ game. Anyway, I really liked it because it had a lot of interesting mechanics, and it went really far into the future, like full-blown Diamond Age space bullshit. Like, you know how nukes are a problem sometimes, maybe? Well, with Civilization Call to Power, you can build the nanite diffuser wonder, where nanomachines eat all the world's nukes. Wow. And it's just like, yeah, there are no longer any nuclear missiles, nuclear subs, or nuclear power plants. They're just done. They had, like, eco-terrorism stuff. They had lawyers as units, which was really, really weird. So it's a fun little game that's kind of, like, abandonware now, which is a shame, but I really liked it. And it's a bitchin' soundtrack. So I like that future stuff. I was kind of interested in Beyond Earth, but I never got around to actually playing it. But I want to see what Humankind does, because I love sci-fi stuff, so it's like, yeah. Were there any other really interesting trailers? There was a fuck ton of Magic. Don't know what's going on there, but they really want you to play Magic, kids.
Well, they had a Ghost of Tsushima trailer.
True, that's right. They had a long trailer, which
but like I don't know if it really told me anything.
No, it was like, this guy, he's the Ghost, and it was really cool and awesome. And there was gameplay, but it's like how early gameplay trailers of Death Stranding were, where you can't see like the HUD or anything. So it's like, I have no idea how you're doing this, but this is what the animations look like. Cool.
And I'm like, cool. I'm still kind of sold. And they gave us a soft release date of summer 2020.
Summer 2020.
Which,
and also, cool. I'm pretty sure they formalized the plot is that you are Japanese samurai Batman.
Well, yeah, because it's Tsushima. It was right. Tsushima is one of the islands that got taken over by the Mongol horde.
Yes, that was one of the few times Japan was successfully invaded. There were a couple of Mongol invasions that actually landed, and Tsushima is one of the outlying islands that actually got taken over.
Yeah. If you ever watch History of Japan and get to that part where, like, the Mongols come over and they got wiped out by a fucking hurricane, yeah, it's that.
Yes, that happened several times. That's why they call them, that's where the kamikaze originates, the divine wind, because whenever somebody would try and invade Japan, typhoon season would set in and then get their shit wrecked, because apparently nobody on the mainland understood the weather.
Talk, from what I understood, sailing in Japan back in the day was fucking terrifying.
Yeah, it's the view of wave stuff kind of going, all that. Mm-hmm. Pretty nasty.
Let's see here. We've also got so there's another trailer. It's Hellblade: Senua 2, which was pretty pick. I guess is the one where I can put it.
So I think somebody said it really good when I watched the reaction, because I'm like 99% sure it's supposed to be an Xbox Series X launch title, is what they're going for, because Phil Spencer came out and was like, and we have great games, look at this.
Yeah.
But somebody said in a reaction video, they were like, somebody was clearly like, okay, Kojima, we could be weird too. Which I'm sure Mr. Kojima with his 3 Game Awards, we spoiled it, is going to be like, okay, bring it.
Like, honestly, now that I think about it, considering this is Kojima's first standalone game and he just walked away with 3 awards, that's really fucking good.
No, that's... Yeah, like, even if the game is controversial, which I guess it is, there really are some people who are, like, weird about it. And we'll talk about it in a second, because we'll talk about the whole thing. Like, themes and gameplay and whatnot. It still sold a shit ton. And, like you said, he was at the Game Awards. He walked away with 3, including one personally for him, because it was Best Game Direction. He personally accepted the award, so that's like, yeah, no, he's gonna throw those in his office.
Well, no, because also think, this game only came out a month ago.
Right, it came out a month ago, it was in dev 4 years, and it came out, and it was exactly what I think he wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So, it's... Yeah, so he's got the best of luck on this. It's gonna be on PC next year, so it's gonna reach even more people.
Yeah.
And just, no, he's pretty set. I'm very curious what he's gonna do next. Yeah. Like, is he gonna... I know everybody wants him to buy Zone of the Enders back.
I don't know, I'm hoping he makes enough money that he can just be like Konami, just off a fat sack of loot just on their desk, like, gimme.
This will be more than pachinko machines. Also, somebody had a very, very funny tweet that I retweeted, which was... God, you remember this one? Which was, Death Stranding doesn't win Game of the Year. Mr. Kojima goes on stage and he's like, allow me to introduce my new game. Bombs blow up, creating a moat around the theater. You're stranded. And I'm like, and then the screen behind him lifts and reveals his giant mech, and he's like, yes, I developed this with the extra money Sony gave me. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what he does next. Also, if he has any input on the Metal Gear movie, because that's the guy who's directing that is the film director in Death Stranding. So clearly they talk, which is very, very weird considering the whole Kojima Metal Gear situation.
Yeah.
When I actually watched the full Stadia commercials and heard them, they are even more dumb and hilarious considering how iffy Stadia is. Where it was like, you don't need a fucking box in front of your entertainment center. Stadia anywhere. I'm like, really?
Are you sure?
Really? 4K 60 frames. I'm like, really?
Oh, by the way, the thing about the Godfall trailer that reminded us, they didn't say it was for the PS4.
That's right. Yeah, I said that earlier. I think it's they said it's a PS5 and it's coming holiday 2020 when the PS5 is launching. So it's going to be a launch title.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about like it was from a Gearbox people, so...
Yeah, I don't remember. I definitely thought to say it, but yeah. So that was our big PlayStation news, and unfortunately, I think a lot of Nintendo hopefuls left a little disappointed. Nintendo didn't have any big bangers. They announced Bravely Default 2. So actually, this is interesting. You asked me, wait, didn't they have a sequel already? I was like,
I found out. Yeah, it's Bravely
No, they
Second.
do. Yeah, it's Bravely Second. This is Bravely Default 2. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it took me a minute to realize that. I was like,
because I was like, no, I don't think there's a Bravely Default 2. No, there is a Bravely Second. I'm like, whatever, they're doing it. I just need to still pick up Octopath for the Switch.
I do like those games. I did like Bravely Default. I just never beat it.
I'm for classic JRPG stuff for reasons which we may or may not get to in this show. I think that's it for trailers. Like, there was a lot of them. Most of them just passed me by. There were a lot of sales that were advertised.
Yeah, like nothing made me be like the couch guys, screaming at the screen.
No,
like,
and I think what I heard suggested was because apparently Valve pulled out at the last minute, so I suspect that there may have been some more harder details about their new Half-Life VR game that they realized they weren't ready to show, which is why there wasn't really a dramatic conclusion. The conclusion was Fast and the Furious. Now, I'll admit, it's cool. They got fucking Vin to come out with his huge arms. Holy fuck, dude, that guy's ripped. Jesus. But they got him to come out with Michelle Rodriguez on stage, and she got to mispronounce Tekken. Which was hilarious, because you could tell that while she obviously played, she was probably pretty casual. And Vin was quietly like, I'm sorry. Because you can tell that he knows that she didn't say it right, but...
Oh yeah, no, Vin Diesel's a big gamer, actually.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know this, he based his performance of Riddick in the Chronicles of Riddick off of a drow fighter he played, or probably Ranger once in D&D. So Vin's a huge nerd, so I totally believe that he's there. But they basically they announced that they're doing a Fast and Furious game, and after seeing them show off the games of the year including Death Stranding and like Control and stuff, I was like, those models look a little waxy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's like, I don't know. I think, what's the term when you just become used to one thing? Oh, I'm desensitized, I guess, or oversensitized, or something.
Yeah,
but
it's
like,
just they
like
go for it.
It's just this, like, just the way that the character models, like, I don't, like, I think you said this, like, you're pretty sure that Vin Diesel didn't get in the fucking mocap room and do this himself.
Now, I appreciate that it sounds like they got all the actors to get into a booth and read some lines. That's cool, and probably cost them shitloads of money, but yeah, when you look at the performance, you're like, this isn't mocap, this is somebody with fucking lip flap animations. As opposed to, hey, Lucky, have you heard this meme before? Cry Hardman? Yeah, as opposed to that scene, which we will talk about in detail later, but like, no, that's that actor is in the fucking mocap room, or somebody is doing that shit, and like, the whole thing, face capture and everything, and you're like, that's real. That is a person in my video game.
Well, yeah, that's why Mads Mikkelsen won Best Performance Actor.
Which he totally deserved. And also, it's a fucking shout out, though. Norman Reedus gave away an award, but he was also nominated in that category. Like, that's another testament to Death Stranding. It got nominated for a shitload of awards, and was even, like I said, double nominated in performance.
Yeah. Like, honestly, I could have given, like maybe 4 of those slots to Death Stranding characters, but that'd have been a little weird.
Yeah. Also, I do feel like it's a little bit BS, because, like, those are
professional actors.
Yeah, not to shit on anybody in the performance category. We'll talk about them later. But some of those are, like, voice actors, and obviously nowadays voice acting does involve a little mocap, but, like, Mads is a brilliant on-screen actor with an incredible amount of range, and just, he worked very well, apparently, with Hideo Kojima to do the stuff.
Yeah.
Alright, let's run down the categories, because I'm looking at it. So, Game of the Year is at the top, even though it was at the end of the show.
Well, we can start at the top.
Let me see. So
you want to talk about nominees?
Yeah. Okay.
Alright, so Game of the Year nominees were Sekiro, Control, Death Stranding, RE, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and Outer Worlds.
A solid spread. I would say those were the games of the year.
Yeah. I did have to take a hot shot and have to say it's like I'd be okay with all of these except for Super Smash Bros.
Yeah, and I think most people would agree that, like, obviously it's definitely a phenomenon. But so Game of the Year is described as recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. Smash Ultimate's kind of
I said Smash Ultimate is ultimately a fighting game where most of your enjoyment is going to be playing with other players.
Yeah, and also, while it does have a robust... Well, there's a lot of stuff to do in the world of light mode, it's also still just you punch AIs.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that Smash Ultimate is very technically a standout unless you wonder how can they fit so many songs into a tiny cartridge. That's a technical achievement. But yeah, so like, I don't know if I would have, like I said, I may have been a little salty if it had won, but it didn't. Shocking everybody, Sekiro won.
Like, again, I'm not like, I can't say I'm mad. I am surprised, though.
I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm like, oh, well, good for them.
Yeah. I said, because you gotta think about it, this is, From Software's departure from their, I almost want to say from their standard formula, so it was kind of a shot in the dark for them, and it paid off.
Yeah, it's more Japanese than Bloodborne or Dark Souls was. Yeah. And it's a lot more fast-paced than those games. And I think in his speech, the director even said, we understood and we were worried when we released the game that it had difficulty elements. Because remember, there was a whole conversation, possibly even a controversy, about whether it was okay that Sekiro was Get Good Scrub. Well, it was apparently okay, audience. They won Game of the Year, so... Yeah. The people have spoken.
Like, honestly, like, I want to play all the games on this list, so...
Yeah, I have played several of the games on this list.
So, good.
And I will play at least one more of them in the future, probably two, because I'm sure if the PS5 is supposed to be backwards compatible, I'm sure it'll take Control, even if it's not re-released on that platform. I don't necessarily want to wait till holiday 2020, or whenever I actually buy a PS5, but we'll do it. So, scrolling down, the next one is Action Game, which is a little weird to me, because, like, they put first-person shooters in there.
Yeah. Well, the nominees were Devil May Cry, Apex Legends, Astral Chain, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Gears 5, and Metro Exodus.
Yeah, and the winner was DMC5, which made a lot of people happy.
Yeah, I can't complain about that. Like, me personally, I voted for Astral Chain. Because, I love fucking Platinum.
Yeah, Platinum. But there's a pretty solid selection here, though.
Yeah.
I think DMC probably won because they were riding a big wave. Again, those guys got up on stage and, said, DMC forever. But also, what was it that it had been? Was it 13 years since the last game? It was a ludicrous amount of time, he said on stage.
It wasn't that long since DMC4.
Was it 11 years? It was long. 9? I don't know. It's one of those, man, it's a lot of fucking years. So I don't know. But it was a big long time, so they kind of came back to it, which is cool.
I don't know. I kind of made a weird face at Apex Legends, though.
Well, Apex is a bit of a big breakout, but they won their own stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, Fortnite's not on it.
Yeah. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, no surprises there. I hear it's pretty good.
We'll get there eventually.
Gears 5, I mean, that's an action shooter if I ever saw one.
Yeah.
And Metro Exodus, which, if it's anything like the other Metro Exodus games, probably pretty intense.
So next was action adventure.
Yep.
Let's see. I can read it. I got it already. So the nominees were Borderlands 3, Control, Sekiro, Death Stranding, RE2, and Link's Awakening, the remake. And I believe actually they announced that Sekiro won this also because they did when they announced that they won Game of the Year, which was weird. But yeah, so Sekiro came away with 2. It was the best action adventure game and the best game of the year. But you're seeing the names on there. That said, this does remind me that the way they split shooters is kind of weird, right? Like, Borderlands 3 is an action adventure game, I should say, whereas like COD and Apex are just action games.
Well, I think it's because in Call of Duty, like Modern Warfare, you're on a set map and you have an objective you have to go to. While you can't wiggle around, you're basically going from point A to point B.
Well, you're doing that in Borderlands 3 too, so.
Well, in Borderlands 3 though, you would probably also have subquests and you have open maps where you can.
Yeah, it's true. It's an RPG shooter.
Yeah,
they probably should have just put it in the RPG category, but then it would have gotten its butt kicked too. And then the next category in the scroll is art direction.
Well, I don't know, going back real quick though, do I really want to call Death Stranding an action game?
I mean, an action-adventure game. You do action moments. There are definitely some action set pieces, but it's mostly adventure.
Yeah.
It's just... Gaming has a lot of weird genre definitions, like I said. I talked about this with, loot or slasher, and I'm like, isn't that just Diablo? We have a lot of these weird conceptions of what games are what, right? I would not necessarily... to me, I would not think that COD and Astral Chain are the same genre, right?
Yeah.
So, but to the Game Awards, apparently they are. So
yeah,
there's that.
I guess. Yeah, so art direction. Nominees were Control, Death Stranding, Gris, Sayonara Wild Hearts, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. So I'm gonna tell you right now, the winner was Control, and I can see that. See, here's the thing about Death Stranding. It has a lot of depth, but at the end of the day, you're basically trudging through a cloudy fucking...
Yeah, so I'm reading the description. I can see why Death Stranding would be nominated for Outstanding Creative and or Technical Achievement in Artistic Design and Animation. It's pretty heavily leaning into the mocap stuff and, being about as true to life as your animations can get. But also, boy, Sam walking through the mountains is not very creative as far as, achievement goes, as opposed to,
Yeah,
I think they pronounce it Grease. That's a fucking art painting in motion, right?
All about feelings and shit.
And I've seen bits of Control. Control is just aesthetics.
Oh, yeah, dimension breaking stuff. How did someone put it? SCP meets what? I forgot.
I don't know. Somebody in the chat probably knows the quote.
Someone probably knows. But, so I'm okay with that. Sayonara Wild, unfortunately, I don't know Sayonara Wild Hearts. It actually got a few nominations elsewhere, too, so it has to be pretty solid.
It looked neat.
Yeah, it looks neat.
Well,
Control is definitely one of the... Oh, SCP meets Alan Wake, that's what people say. Yeah. Which is the same devs.
Okay, interesting.
Man, so...
Yeah, I'm looking at the next category, and I'm like, these all look familiar.
Yeah, I got audio design looking at mine.
Yeah, I'm looking at audio design. And it's like, these look similar.
Yeah, guess what? It's Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Control, Death Stranding, Gears 5, Resident Evil 2, 2019 version, And Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. The winner was Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Which is very interesting. I don't know why necessarily, because I haven't played it yet, but
maybe it just has really good atmospheric.
Yeah, if it uses the sound well.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Like I said, I love Death Stranding. I love the fucking bits. The audio design is a bit lacking just because of the type of game it is.
Yeah, it's very minimal. Like, on the one hand, yes, you can say that, like, the Order Drek thing, like, that has a lot of very distinct sounds. Everybody calling you has a distinct sound.
Mm-hmm.
There's, like, the mule noises and whatnot. But the game is mostly empty.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the point, obviously.
Yeah.
Again, we're going to talk about the whole game in a second. But yeah, so I'm like, I don't know.
I think I'm okay with it. Again, I have nothing to base Control's audio design on.
No, because we haven't played it.
Saying it. And Resident Evil 2, I said as a horror games, audio is I'm gonna say this right now. Horror games can live or die on their audio design.
No, and I've seen people play the RE2 remake. It has good sound design with hearing things in the distance, not hearing some things. It's even better if you include a mod so Mr. X plays X Gonna Give It To You as he busts in. The door just smashes open. First we gonna what? It's hilarious. You can look those up on YouTube. They're very funny.
But so honestly, I wouldn't have picked Death Stranding. I would have said I actually voted for Resident Evil 2 for this one. Even not playing it, I'm just just from hearing people talk about it, I'm pretty sure this is on point.
Yeah, I don't remember what I voted. Some of these I didn't vote because I'm I have no opinion. I'm pretty sure I did vote in community support though. The next category.
Yeah. So community support. Nominees were Destiny 2, Apex Legends, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. I personally voted for Final Fantasy 14. They've always treated me good. And it's one of the only games I really played on this list.
Fair.
I played Destiny 2, but I didn't do anything online. So I'm just I'm just gonna get through this fucking story. Alright, I'm done. Alright, I'm out.
No, I haven't been... Because I didn't keep up with any of the expansions, and may never get around to it because I keep forgetting. And I'm I got new games to buy. But yeah, Destiny 2 won.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's fair, because Destiny's had a lot of up and downs, and they've really worked to turn it around.
Yeah, my friend, I had a friend who went on Twitter in a fucking firestorm because he worked at Bungie for 3 years, and he was just no, this is a lie, and he was quite upset because he worked in there, but I don't know. Like I said, this is the majority. This is because this is saying we should say this. While all the nominees were picked by a jury,
a panel,
the actual winner was done by majority rule. Mm-hmm. Basically, everyone voted online. I'm pretty sure, I think it was a worldwide vote, too.
Yep, because it's a worldwide competition, even though the truly international mobile games are not represented. Anyway, we'll be salty about mobile game being just garbo trashware made by big studios in a second. Because we can't, Content Creator of the Year is the next one, then the Esports Coach. All those are, whatever to us, just because we don't necessarily follow other people. Did you recognize any of the content creators?
I'm sorry, I don't.
I have heard of Shroud. That's it. And he won.
I don't know. I can't, I'm not going to shit on people who do esports or people who like esports. I don't know if I'm missing something in my life, but it just does not appeal to me. Rather than, watch someone play video games, I'd rather play video games myself. The only time I like streamers is because I'm there just as much for their personality as the gameplay. So that's why I like watching, Jacksepticeye, Markiplier, Game Grumps, all those guys.
Comedy Let's Plays, or just entertainment, I guess, in general.
Yeah. I'm just gonna watch, just watching someone there play this game real fucking good, better than I can, who's probably, half my age and making way more money than me. No, sorry, I can't do it.
I don't know, there was one kid who was 11 years old and made a game about depression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think these are all high-level streamers. I don't know.
Alright, so, for the sake of expedition, I'm just gonna go this. Content Creator of the Year, motherfucking Shroud. Esports Coach, Zonic. Esports Event of the Year, League of Legends World Championship 2019. Esports Game of the Year, League of Legends. Esports Hosts, that's how I'm gonna say it.
Lucky, are you alright? Oh shit, Lucky died. He died right there, in the middle of saying something. Oh my god, he's dead. I'll keep going through the categories while he comes back. Esports player, which he was about to say, was Buka. Best esports team was G2 Sports, and then we get to real categories again. And in general, I'm like never shocked that stuff wins. Like League won a bunch, Fortnite stuff won a bunch, whatever. I think we should be a little bit more. People should be a little. It's one of those things where like people, especially like journos and stuff, want to be like, oh, you people totally care about the political messages and whatnots in your video games, and then it's like, yeah, I don't think anybody cares that Riot's kind of shitty right now enough that they don't win all the fucking awards. So that's just one of those sad things. Just like, man, people really don't actually care as much as you'd think and want them to care. In case you don't know why Riot is kind of shitty, it's not necessarily as bad as Blizzard selling out people's basic rights to Chinese dollars. And also lies, because people love to talk about how much LGBT representation there is in Overwatch, except in China, where all that stuff is censored. But I've just kept through those other couple categories you missed when you ghosted, Lucky. Yeah, and sorry. I'm talking about how Riot's not great right now, because they've got a huge lawsuit they're trying to settle out of court, because they basically did nothing about all the sexual harassment which occurred for both men and women in their studio. So, yeah. But nobody cares, because they won awards. Apparently.
So actually, I actually want to rewind back to best community support and actually be like, wait a minute, what the fuck? Why isn't Warframe on this list?
That is interesting, because they announced a new thing for Warframe right there.
Yeah, but no, like here's the thing: Warframe is like amazing at community support. I mean this, amazing. Like not like
community support, transparency, and responsiveness. Yeah, I don't know.
Like transparency, like literally Warframe has like,
maybe it's not fair to all the other games because Warframe's been out for forever, so they would keep winning.
Wait, actually, what were the nominations again for community support?
Apex, Final Fantasy, Destiny 2, Fortnite, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah, all those games have been out for multiple years, except for Apex, I think.
Yeah, true. I'm just thinking, because I always see Rainbow Six Siege is always nominated and they never win. R.I.P. them.
Because, like, Warframe, they have, like, almost, like, monthly dev streams where they talk about what's coming up. They have, people who actually play the game, like, play the game and play with players and talk about stuff. Like, when they fucking, they announced that new patch, one of the lead devs, for the game, like, went online on Twitch to talk about it with other players who was interested.
Yeah, it's honestly, like, I'm not necessarily into Warframe.
Yeah,
I know.
But
they always have seemed pretty cool about their stuff and constantly expanding for a free game.
By the way, if you just watch 30 minutes of the fucking game words, you got a free gun in game.
Neat. Yeah,
so I'm just like, they do a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the jury's not familiar enough with Warframe, which is sad, because Jeff Keighley himself, and they said his name multiple times, so we can say his name now until next year when we forget again. Yep. But he seemed pretty buddy with whichever dev came up on stage to talk with him about the Warframe stuff.
Yeah, that was Rebecca Ford. She is the lead community manager, I believe, but she's also the voice actress for the Lotus, who is your in-game guide.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting. That's another point of like even with the jury level, there's a little bit of popularity contest, clearly, right? Yeah. Because it's like, no, there's no way we could possibly snub, say, Riot, even though we know that they're not in a good place right now. We have to include them because they're huge, so they win stuff. But we were about to do Family Game, aka the Nintendo category.
Yeah.
Because they're all Switch games.
Yep. The nominees were Luigi's Mansion 3, Ring Fit Adventure, Super Mario Maker 2, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and Yoshi's Crafted World. Luigi's Mansion 3 won, which I find a little surprising considering it just came out.
Yeah, but it seems like people like it.
Yeah, I know, because actually I'm looking at this Ring Fit Adventure, probably don't play that with the family. Same with Super Mario Maker. Super Smash Bros., while it's definitely a game that you sit down and play with people, I wouldn't know if I would say family.
Yeah. And we should read some of the descriptions for these. The Family Game is specifically for the best game appropriate for family play, irrespective of genre or platform. So, like, Yoshi, Luigi's Mansion. You could do Mario Maker because you can do, like, co-op levels and stuff, or you could build together. But, like, Luigi's Mansion had multiplayer stuff in it and co-op and minigames, and that seemed like it worked really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the list I'm looking at doesn't have the actual descriptions on it, so
yeah, I'm looking on the webpage.
All right, so best, we're gonna go down to best fighting game. You might read. Well, it's a fighting game. Like I don't know.
No, it's the same. It's the same description. Their flowery way of saying it is for the best game design primarily around head-to-head combat.
So, for nominees were Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Jump Force, Dead or Alive 6, Mortal Kombat 11, and Samurai Showdown. Now, me personally, I voted for Dead or Alive 6, but I already knew it wasn't going to win.
No. Nobody, and clearly nobody voted for Jump Force because it didn't win either.
Yeah. But, like, the two that I thought were either going to win was either going to be Smash or Mortal Kombat 11.
I'd Smash 1.
Yeah, and Smash 1. And you know what? I can't say anything against that. It's Smash.
We said it was a fighting game, so it did do fighting.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. We really don't have anything else to add this. Now we go down to indie games.
Oh, okay. So I have the description of this. Let me read this because we were asking about this earlier. The presentation for a fresh indie game presented by Subway TM specifically says on the Game Awards website, recognizing a new independent studio that released its first game in 2019.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah,
I guess that's fair.
So all these are the first games of the studio.
Yeah. So the nominees were Disco Elysium, Gris, My Friend Pedro, Outer Wilds, Slay the Spire, and Untitled Goose Game. Now, I don't know Slay the Spire, and honestly, I really don't know Disco Elysium, but I'm kind of surprised that Untitled Goose Game did not win.
No, Goose Game was really popular. Heck, they got a tie-in with the Muppets.
Yeah, they did.
Because we'll talk about that award later. I think that was Games for Impact, but Dr. Bunsen and Beaker were on stage, and then there was Untitled Beaker Game, and then there was a friggin' Goose Muppet. It was pretty good. It was pretty funny.
It was. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure that was the best moment in the Game Awards.
But yeah, so Disco Elysium won.
I said no surprise there. Did we mention that Disco Elysium got the most?
No, I was thinking about that while you were talking. I was like, did we say that on there yet? No, I don't think we did. I think if Disco Elysium came away with 4 total awards, which is the most.
Yeah.
I think Death Stranding is second place with 3.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Yeah, as I said, like, honestly, all these awards for Disco Elysium, it's making me want to try it out, because it's just, like, it's getting so much attention here. I'm like, what is this game about? Tell me your story.
Well, yeah, you looked it up when it won its first award, whichever category that was, we'll come to later. You said it had, like, overwhelmingly positive on Steam.
Yeah, over, like 10,000 reviews. It was a lot. So I'm like,
it was a big deal.
It was a big deal. So, I guess we can move right along. I did want to say, like, my friend Pedro was definitely a weird one. But it was, like, it had impact, so I guess it's up there. Outer Wilds, it's Outer Wilds. Slay the Spire, don't know it.
I have heard of it before, but I don't know much about the play.
And I said, eventually I will get Untitled Goose Game, so I can be a fucking dick and honk. But we're going to move on to Best Game Direction. You mind reading the description, please?
Awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design.
I'm pretty sure you all know who won this already, but I'm going to tell you the nominees. Death Stranding, Control, Resident Evil 2, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and Outer Wilds. Death Stranding won, and if anyone else had won, I think I might have slapped somebody. Yeah, no, this was, like, say what you will, Control was really cool. That had good innovation in design, I think. RE2 was pretty interesting to look at, but it was a remake. Similarly, Sekiro is kind of perfecting the format those guys have been working on for a while. Mm-hmm. But if you were going to pick a game to win Best Game Direction, you would pick a game written by Hideo Kojima, directed by Hideo Kojima, by Kojima Productions, a.k.a. Death Stranding. And Kojima himself accepted the award, so he got to go up on stage and talk about all how it's been so great to have people with him through these 4 years. The small boat, he called it, which was joined by. He specifically gave a huge shout out to the actors, to Sony for, the backing, to Guerrilla for helping them with the engine, and for all the people who came with him when he reformed the studio. So that I think is, like, even though they didn't win Game of the Year, and I'm sure he probably thought that was even odds because the game is so weird and idiosyncratic, Like, I'm sure that winning Game Direction was a big seminal moment for him, because that's it. He directed the game, so that's,
that's pretty rewarding to be like, yeah, dude, your creative vision brought home an award. You can put it in your office now.
Yeah. Like I said, it only came out like a month ago, like a little more than a month ago. It's been being kept under wraps for almost this entire 4 years, and it was still enough to walk away with that. So, yeah.
So yeah, shout out to him.
Mm-hmm. Games for Impact is our next nomination. I mean, our next category.
Yep. This is for a thought-provoking game with pro-social meaning or message.
Yeah. So our nominees were Gris, Concrete, Genie, Kind Words, Life is Strange 2, and Sea of Solitude.
I did not realize that Sea of Solitude came out.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
We were excited about it for E3 one year. It's the one where, like, you're in a place that's all, like, flooded and your depression is like a sea monster trying to eat you or something.
Oh, yeah,
it looked really neat. And I was like,
that
that came out? Didn't even realize.
Life is Strange 2, it's like... I'm not surprised that's on there. If it's any... I haven't played it, but if it's anything like Life is Strange 1...
No, I'm waiting for them to release it all for free on PS Plus or something again.
Yeah.
And I'll stream it
all. Concrete Genie, I know is something that came out recently, but it seems like it also has to do, like, I can see it being, because it looks like it has to do with, like, a young kid who's, like, trying to, like, deal with, like, bullying.
I think they said in, like, the little clip they showed, he's like, you want me to paint the whole town? I'm like, okay, I can see that's probably got some stuff. I don't know what Kind Words is about, but it involves you writing a letter, and it's called Kind Words, so that's probably something that was good, but,
I'm pretty sure
we can stop stretching it out. Grease one.
Yeah, Grease one. Thing is, I think Grease wasn't Grease in some nominations last year?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Because I kind of feel like
maybe it's like it's gonna come up, but the one that won last year was shoot, I can't remember the name. It was the name of like a person. We talked about it a lot.
Let me see here. Best independent game. Oh, Celeste.
That's right. Yeah, that one last year.
Oh, okay, I just pulled it up here. Let me see here. Is it anywhere? No, it's not. Okay, so maybe it's not. Why? Where did I see it? I don't know.
Maybe saw it at like an E3 or like a showcase or something. You may have seen it during something Devolver did because they published it. Maybe. All right, so this is another subtle one they did because they didn't necessarily announce the titles, which might actually make you a little sad. So independent game is next, and that's for outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside the traditional publisher system.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got Baba Is You, which I've never heard of. We have Katana Zero, Disco Elysium, Outer Wilds, and Untitled Goose Game. And Disco Elysium won again.
I'm not surprised. I did vote for this. I voted for Katana Zero because that is a game I've actually played and I liked.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like I felt like you might be a little sad since they didn't do this any fanfare.
Yeah. As I said, like again, apparently Disco Elysium is real fucking good, so...
Yeah. And here's the salty category. Mobile game. For the best game playable on a dedicated mobile device, you got Grindstone, never heard of it, Sayonara Wild Hearts, which I guess was something artsy, Call of Duty Mobile, which won, by the way, Sky, Children of the Light, I think I've heard of that, and What the Golf. And I'm just like, where's all the gacha waifu games? Where are they? You know they're making money. They're probably making more money than some of these.
I mean, like, if you go check on, like, whatever your relevant store platform is, usually, like, FGO is between, like, 1 and 5 best, paid.
Yeah, FGO's pretty top. Now, FGO might be disqualified because it's been out a couple years now, but there's some stuff that have come out.
I don't know. Like, I don't know, like, what to say about that because, again, they're constantly.
Well, yeah, there's also they're constantly ongoing, right? Like, is Call of Duty Mobile truly new this year? I don't know. I don't know if I care.
But so yeah, salt, a lot of salt the earth.
Well, it's just I know that there are loads and loads of Japanese and Chinese developers making really good quality games, even if they're loot box backed. But I don't see any of those. These are all. Other than maybe, but I don't think Sayonara Wild Hearts is, but most of these just look like normal, everyday ass mobile games that nobody's ever heard of. Not to, like, decry any of the development time that goes into them, but, like, there are other people busting their asses, too. It's just weird. We said that last year. It's like, where's the stuff?
Yeah, I might look into these later, but I'm already got my, like, probably not anytime soon, because I got a new gacha game to talk about later.
No, we're busy.
Yeah. Yeah, so again, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what is the qualification for a good mobile game.
Right. Like you said, I would just look at what's top in the stores. Like, that seems like a good excuse. So, the next category is multiplayer games, which is pretty interesting, because the description reads that it's for outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op and massively multiplayer experiences, irrespective of genre or platform. So, if you can have more than one person play it in any form, it counts, which I feel is a little broad.
It's a little broad, and for being a little broad, there's a lot of guns in this category.
Yeah, the only one that doesn't involve bullets is Tetris 99.
Yeah, so nominations are Apex Legends, Borderlands 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Tetris 99, and Tom Clancy's Division 2. So, I'm not gonna lie, Tom Clancy's Division 2, I'm a little surprised it made this list. As I said, I like it,
much like
but...
Destiny 2, I feel like Division 2's had one of those cycles where it kind of started out kind of like and then it was like, it's alright.
It's alright.
We've decided it's okay. Unlike Anthem, which, by the way, you will not find anywhere on any of these lists.
But, like I said, like, again, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, I mean, that is literally... As much as I hear they have made a bitchin'-ass stellar story, people on there are to shoot, are there to shoot heads, teabag scrubs, and scream at everyone's mother. Borderlands 3, like, you're probably getting there for that good kick co-op. Apex Legends, I said, apparently it is on the up and up. And Tetris 99, from what I hear, is real fun to play. It's your Battle Royale. It's Battle Royale Tetris, which is kind of great. But, like I said, like, they say multiplayer game, but I don't see any MMOs on here, which I know fucking bring in, like, a lot of things, like, or any, like, free-to-play games or stuff. It's just, like, it's literally 4 out of 5 is you're gonna pick up a gun and shoot somebody.
Yeah,
like,
and so it's a little weird that they call it irrespective of genre or platform, and it's like, it's all... Now, admittedly, they're slightly different. Like, there's Division is an MMO shooter. Borderlands is a co-op shooter. Call of Duty, I assume, is they went for, like, the team deathmatch portions. Apex is a battle royale, and Tetris 99 is also a battle royale, but also it's Tetris.
So it's a little weird.
But Apex won.
Yeah.
Which is, that's okay. I think they're a pretty decent release that came out, and we love Respawn, so good on them.
Good on them. Go get your fucking free copy of Timefall 2 while you can if you have PlayStation Plus. Mm-hmm. Alright, so we're going to move on, though.
Here's another big one.
Best narrative. Do you have a description for it?
Yeah, it's just for outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game.
Yeah. So, nominees were Disco Elysium, Control, A Plague's Tale, Innocence, Death Stranding, and The Outer Worlds. I'm gonna tell you right now, I voted for Death Stranding. Like,
yeah, no, that's fair.
Like, I think I had a tweet about this. It's like, where it's like I'm kind of confused about this, but it was a fucking riot, and I'm glad I was here.
No,
and
like, I mean, I could see a broader audience, not necessarily, because they didn't win. That's not one of the 3 that they won. Disco Elysium won. I could see, especially with some parts of the ending, like, where some people were not necessarily feeling like it was the best, and as somebody I think in our Discord commented about it, of course Disco Elysium won. They had nothing but narrative. So, that I think is for a game that's apparently that good, if it really is nothing but narrative, yeah, okay, then there's no reason why they wouldn't have won.
I said, I'm not mad. Like, I'm actually kind of jonesing to play Disco Elysium. I think it's on sale right now.
Yeah, probably. But, I know that A Plague Tale Innocence is on sale.
Yeah, that's another game I'm kind of interested in playing, because it looks real dark and real interesting.
And has a lot of rats, and a pope who turns into rats. A demon pillar of rats? I don't know. It's weird. Also, like, having played The Outer Worlds in its completion, I'm glad they got nominated, but I wasn't expecting them to win just because the plot's a little bare bones and it goes by a little fast. The game is clearly truncated.
And Control, like, I honestly, I have no idea what the scope of Control is.
Yeah, and I'm glad. I don't want to know what the scope of Control is. When I play Control for the first time, I want to know fucking nothing other than that I watched all the trailers for this game and I'm like, it looks sick.
But, like I said, so, again, more hype for Disco Elysium. Mm-hmm. So, best ongoing game. I don't really think that needs any fanfare for what it is.
No, and actually it's super interesting you say that, because this is exactly like the Community one. It's the exact same nominees.
It's Fortnite, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14, Apex Legends, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. Fucking Fortnite won. not really surprised.
No, Fortnite's super popular, and this year they actually have done interesting things, right? Like, they had a whole big event that got everybody's attention where they blew up the island of the black hole or something, and now it's Fortnite Chapter 2, so, like, well, obviously I would prefer Fortnite not to win. I don't know, Siege is pretty good about ongoing stuff, but, Final Fantasy or Destiny seems pretty cool, but whatever, they won.
I would vote for Final Fantasy 14. As I said, they keep releasing knockout of expansions.
They're probably just a little too Japanese for the mass public, unfortunately, because they played another Shadowbringer trailer on the Game Awards because there's like a sale or something, I think. But I'm like, wow, this is really Final Fantasy right now.
Well, it's in the fucking title.
I know, but it's like that's not going to sell anybody who doesn't already own this game for the sake of Final Fantasy, right?
I guess that's true.
Oh, that just reminded me, though.
Yeah.
Speaking of Final Fantasy, there was a brand new trailer for the remake.
I don't know if it's a brand new. It looks like
they said it was a world premiere, but I don't know.
Feel like they just cut more pieces together of other trailers and stuck them together.
Well, yeah, it's Final Fantasy VII. Everybody knows the parts already. They're still continuing to just show us the intro, meeting Aerith and the Pillar battle. Like they're holding in some stuff in that chapter.
I'm okay with it.
But they had some more voice acting that seemed pretty good. You get to see some more dynamic stuff.
Like, that's actually something I want to make, because I haven't, I usually just watch, the first Final Fantasy trailer that comes out, which is usually the Japanese one. I really haven't had a chance to listen to the English VAs. They sound pretty good. I like them. If there's not a dual audio option, I will not be upset. I'll be disappointed, but not upset.
Yeah, and I know some people are a little miffed that Square basically completely cut the voice cast and started over again, but also sometimes I know that that's unusual for Japan, but I could see that because they've been through a couple of different cast members and some different stuff over the years. So I could see that if they're doing this whole big release push, they would like to centralize everybody. Yeah. But yeah, so we see some interesting stuff. Cloud jumps super high, for instance, and I'm like, oh, that's neat. That's actually establishing in story that all your action stuff counts. There's some Barrett one-liners, some stuff happens, and they played a lot of the remix of the soundtrack. If that one doesn't win Best Soundtrack next year, there better be a good fucking excuse why. Yeah. Because, hot damn. I think they went through, what would you say, 3 or 4 songs in the trailer?
Oh, yeah.
There was, opening bombing mission, regular battle, and then I think the boss theme.
Mm-hmm.
And possibly some others. Oh, no, that's right. They started with the Shinra theme, which is great. And then you have the climbing. Oh god, that soundtrack is so good. Even in its dope ass MIDI form, it's still great.
When we get the score music and we have to butt heads. I actually got a point I want to bring up about that. But before that, we still got a couple categories.
Yeah, we got another big one.
Yep, performance. I said easily enough. It's just the best performance from an actor or a motion actor.
Also, so I want to say, I'm looking at this on the site. They have a very interesting thing here. So, most of the people are shown as headshots of the voice actors. Mm. For Norman Reedus and Mads Mikkelsen, they are literally showing screenshots from the game. Which is hilarious. They didn't even pick, a promo headshot of these people. They're like, no, they're in the fucking game, dude.
I mean, it's true. It's they just played... They played themselves as characters.
Yeah.
Which is great, but... Heck. So, nominees are Mads Mikkelsen, Matthew Portia, Laura Bailey, Courtney Hope, Ashley Birch, Norman Reedus.
And we should say what they were for, in case you don't know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, not on my list.
Yeah, Mads was as Cliff in Death Stranding. Matthew Poretta was as Dr. Casper Darling in Control. Courtney Hope was as Jessie Faden, which I assume is the main character, because she's also a redhead in Control. So Control got 2 nominations here. Laura Bailey is for Kate in Gears 5, and we obviously know who Norman Reedus is for. And Ashley Birch was as Pavardi in The Outer Worlds, which I was like, oh, who did she play in The Outer Worlds? Oh, she was Pavardi? Cool. I guess I like Pavardi the best out of my companions. But we alluded to it earlier, but this is another one of the ones that Death Stranding took home. And specifically, it was Mods.
Mods, I'm pretty sure this is probably going to be the weirdest award he has on his fucking trophy case, because that man has a lot of awards.
And, I think he'll be happy. Because it worked out pretty good for him. I think this is the first major video game thing he's done.
Oh, yeah, it is.
And he won a fucking award out of it, as he should, because as when we get to Death Stranding somewhere in the second or third hour, because I think we're past the first.
Oh, are we? Jeez.
Not quite, but we're at 58 minutes, so yes. But, like, he had a lot of depth to character and really brought his performance.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not much else to say about that. I'm sure all the others did good because they were nominated, but I haven't played any of those games but Outer Worlds. And, I mean, like I said, Pavarti was probably my favorite character, and she did okay, but, like, it's not... So she was definitely the most memorable of the companions, but I don't feel like Outer Worlds really, in terms of performance, was doing anything extra special anyway. It was just Fallout, so... Yeah,
like, the character models were probably a little bit more stilted than...
Yeah, the character models were stylized. Like, her voice performance was, like I said, great. She had some funny lines, but that's more about writing than necessarily performance.
Yeah, because you gotta remember, Death Stranding, they actually got the actors in those mocap suits, and they actually acted.
No, they were in the scenes with each other, with Kojima right there, doing stuff. They had props, all the bits. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, no offense to Ashley Birch, she has done some great acting in her time, but like, I don't feel like in terms of performance, The Outer Worlds necessarily did anything special, right? Yeah, and I don't know about Control.
Yeah, maybe we'll play Control later and be like, how dare?
But we'll see. I doubt I will. I don't know, because Madsen, Noraritas, dude. Yeah.
So we're...
Yeah. I was just going to say we're moving on to the next category.
Moving on to the role-playing game. I'm pretty sure you all know what that is. So nominees are Disco Elysium, Final Fantasy XIV, Kingdom Hearts 3, Monster Hunter World Iceborne, and The Outer Wilds. Winner was
The Outer Worlds, actually. I know we get this confused a lot, but we just want to don't confuse anybody in the audience.
Oh, Outer Wilds.
Outer Worlds.
Sorry. Yeah. But, so, Disco Elysium won, again. And, I have to play this game and actually see it.
Yeah, you've probably played, only one more of these than I have. Well, two, actually, but I think that works out, because I have one over you, so...
Well, yeah, I've played 14, 3, and Iceborne.
Yeah, and I've played 3 in Outer Worlds.
Yeah, so...
I mean, I'm kind of sad, we can spoil it, Kingdom Hearts 3 didn't come away with anything out of this, but... It also had a mixed response from the audience, so I could see that.
Yeah.
And you know, we've said this before, the gameplay's not as tight as it could be.
That's it, everyone hold on to your butts for a remind next month, though.
Oh yeah, actually, we should mention that, because that was at State of Play, I think, but they confirmed the release date again in January. They said the price point's going to be $30. There's going to be a lot of extra boss battles and story and stuff. But they're also doing a free update the same day that gives you Oblivion and Oathkeeper with forms.
Dude.
So that's cool. And at first I was like, for DLC, 30 seems a little steep. That's usually like major expansion level or season pass level. But also this is an improvement because they're not just calling it Kingdom Hearts 3 Final Mix plus Omega Edition and selling it to me again for $60. So technically we're going up in the world.
Hey, it's progress.
But yeah, so without us playing Disco Elysium, I don't think we can comment, but it's like, I don't know, we obviously wouldn't have picked it, but...
Yeah. So, okay, so here we're going to get into a little contention with Scorn. So,
I'll say the description, which clears it up. It's for outstanding music, inclusive of score, original song, and or licensed soundtrack, so by the definition of the award, spoilers, Death Stranding won this one. So... Yeah, in terms of the way they phrased it, no, okay, that's fine. I think it's a little like, maybe you should do that separately, because, I don't know, I do feel that it's a little weird that even though I really like the music in Death Stranding, that it has a couple of really sick original songs, really brilliant stuff. I was listening to BB's theme before we started. But the music is, and we complained about this, you can't listen to the music whenever you like. It's whenever Kojima decides to play a low roar song, he puts it in there. Not that those aren't bad, and Churches too. They were actually one of the performances at the Game Awards was Churches, and that was really good. That song's still stuck in my head right now. So, they have some good selection, but to me, for an award, it feels really weird to be, the award could be called, which video game director had the best taste in music? Because that's really what Death Stranding winning says. It's like, okay, so these were cool. They had nice original songs and stuff, and obviously Kingdom Hearts 3 has some remixes of Disney music, which is a little bit cheating. But Death Stranding is just... Hideo Kojima has good taste in records, and it's not wrong. It's just, like I said, it was really weird to me.
Well, like, this is the thing I was actually thinking about. Like, when I think about how good, like, Kingdom Hearts 3, because I do like Kingdom Hearts 3 music, but then I was like, wait a minute, it's because I've liked this music for, over 3 games. It's been, like, stuff that I've been building up upon and upon and upon. Every time I hear that new iteration, I'm like, oh, yeah,
true, but the composer is really good, and it does have the advantage of leitmotifs, but so does Cadence of Hyrule, because I assume that's remixing Legend of Zelda music.
Yeah, I know, so, like, I don't know, like, if it's, like, because, like, if I remember correctly, like, Kojima actually went to, because, Low Roar isn't actually, like, a band, per se. It's a guy who just makes music and gets people to sing for him.
He's got a couple components, but no, that's also, like, I said this later, it's somewhat fair because the composer for the game is also one of the guys in Low Roar.
Yeah.
So it's kind of retroactively. It's like Kojima found a sound he liked and was like, you in my game, you are in my game now, and he was like,
no, that's literally what happened. He heard, it's actually funny. They actually mentioned this when you.
Oh, that's right, because you can find a Low Roar album as a memory chip, because Kojima has no shame.
Yeah.
You can also find, I think, several movies by the guy who provided the body for Hartman.
Yeah. But, like, yeah, he literally was in Iceland for something and heard Low Roar in a fucking shop, and he's like, I want to use this music. And he talked to the guy and got him to be the fucking composer.
Yeah, so it's pretty funny. Anyway, we've spoiled it. Death Stranding 1, and they were against Cadence of Hyrule, Devil May Cry 5, which I know made some people salty, KH3, and Sayonara Wild Hearts. That last one, again, can't comment. We didn't play it.
Like, here's the thing. Like, I like Devil May Cry. I played it. The problem is when I think about Devil May Cry 5, the only thing is, I think, is pull my double trigger. Because, basically, when you're in combat, that's all that fucking plays. And it, like, varies upon, like, how good you're doing. Like, if you actually get up to, like, S rank, they actually have lyrics and shit. So I'm like, okay, that's a good song, but that's about it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
but yeah, so this was an interesting category for them to start with, because this was, like, the first real award they handed out with the statue.
Well, yeah, like, this is a accident. Like, yeah, like, I shouldn't say just pull my double trigger, because that was just Nero's thing. Each character had their own specific theme, but whenever you went into battle, that would fucking play, and you're in battle a lot, so I'm just...
Yeah, that's a cool concept, the, like, evolving music. Battlefront 2, for instance, does that with the score. It has lateral music, so depending on what you're doing or how you're doing things, it will play different parts of iconic Star Wars music.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, that's a cool concept. I don't know if that necessarily stacks up, because, as we've said, Death Stranding has original music pieces, and it has the finest of Hideo Kojima's record collection in it.
If you do not know, Kojima fucking loves music, and he fucking loves movies.
Basically, all the memory chips are shit Kojima likes. Like, there's figurines with frame arms being an actual brand of figurines.
Yeah.
There's motorcycles, which is probably true, because there's a lot of motorcycles in his games, which are very highly detailed. Like, think of Eva/Big Mama's bikes through a couple of different games, stuff like that.
I remember that. I remember that Triumph Bonneville. I think that was actually one of the fucking bikes.
I bet it is. And then, like, weird art shit and movies and music. Like,
I'm pretty sure they bonded over bikes. Norman Reedus and Hideo Kojima.
Right. And I'm sure Hideo was like, hey, is it okay if we put Ride with Norman Reedus in here? And Norman Reedus was probably like, yeah, sick, dude.
Alright, but...
yeah, sports racing game, which is another weird combo pack.
Like, so, sports racing. We got nominees are FIFA 20, F1 2019, eFootball Pro Evolution Soccer 2020. That is a name. Dirt Rally 2.0, and Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel.
And,
surprising everyone.
Yes. Crash won.
Crash won.
It beat FIFA. It beat football.
It did. That's really, like, I don't know what to say.
Because that's a remake, right? Like, technically, it's not necessarily new.
Yeah, Crash Team Racing was back on the PS1, I want to say. So they just, fixed it all up and all that stuff, and it beat FIFA.
Which is saying something. Maybe the FIFA players are too casual, and they didn't realize the Game Awards exist.
Maybe. Here's the weird thing about voting. It's like, it's not just that you can vote; it's that people have to vote, and like, we might not be reaching, like, not every single fucking
And you have to
gamer on the
log
planet.
in, technically, so they can authenticate it, so it's like you need Twitter or Facebook or something.
So, like, not saying, like, people are filthy casuals, but if they didn't, like, if they weren't aware they can vote, they don't care about the Game Awards. It's just like voting in general. If people don't vote, you're not going to actually get the
Though
full
people
scope
should
of...
totally care about the Game Awards, because they were like, 300,000 concurrent live views?
Oh, yeah.
It was big.
It was big. But it's just, like, one of those things of, like, I don't know, I guess everyone who liked Crash Team Racing voted, not the people who like fucking FIFA 2020.
Yep.
Or FIFA 20.
So, cool beans.
Cool
Fresh
beans.
one.
Let's move on to strategy games.
Yeah!
Yeah. So we got nominees: War Group, Tropico 6, Total War 3 Kingdoms, Anno 1800, Planet of Wonders, Planet 4, and Fire Emblem 3 Houses. I think me and Omega were both like, if 3 Houses don't win, we will fucking riot.
No, there will be a riot, because I'm like, listen, Tropico's cool, and I know people like Anno, but it's not fucking 3 Houses. So 3 Houses won. There was no riot. It's cool. They won, which is good.
Peace is maintained.
Also, I heard this on a rewatch, and I bet you didn't notice it at first because it was a pretty subtle ad, but apparently there was they called it like the player's voice or something. There was a tournament-styled vote for Game of the Year, which 3 Houses won.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't publicize it at all, but apparently in a fully democratic tournament-style bracket vote, 3 Houses won, which is cool. Because that game's really brilliant.
Can't wait till all the DLC is out.
So here's another weird category.
VR, AR, A-game. I'm sorry, that's how it's spelled on the thing.
Yeah, it's funny. VR/AR game, the best game experience, playable in virtual or augmented reality. These are all virtual, irrespective of platform.
Yep, so we have Beat Saber, Asgard's Wrath, Blood and Truth, No Man's Sky, and Trover Saves the Universe. So I don't know Asgard's Wrath or Blood and Truth.
There were some Asgard's Wrath trailers during the Game Awards. And
is that the one?
Yeah, it's that one goofy game with, like, the swords and the magic and the blowing people up and the giants.
Was that the one where they put the fucking, like, the actor, like, they put the camera onto it, the weapons and weird shit? So
No,
like,
that was a D&D game.
Oh, that was
That's a
D&D
Forgotten
game?
Realms. No, that was the one where you fist bump the bear.
Oh.
Which was really neato. So, Asgard's Wrath just looks like the perfected VR hack and slash 'em.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's just come up with gory, fun ways for people to kill things in VR.
Okay.
I don't know anything about Blood and Truth. I guess No Man's Sky got a PSVR port.
Yeah. Trover Saves the Universe, like, I don't know a bunch about it, but I do know it's basically from the creators of Rick and Morty.
Yeah, Squanch Games is the Rick and Morty guys. And they've done some VR stuff before, variously. They did, like, VR accounting, they did the Rick and Morty VR game, Trover, etc. Which, they're really neat, but VR's not super accessible. But you know what is accessible? Rhythm games. Hey, Beat Saber won.
And, like, real talk, if I get VR, I'm getting Beat Saber. It looks fun.
That sounds cool. They announced, because they had Green Day there, that apparently Green Day is going to be in Beat Saber soon.
That'd be cool.
That's it. Well, that's the end of the categories I got. Was that the last thing? Was VR?
I guess so. So, overall, the Game Awards was, like, I thought it was worth to watch. Some were a lot spicier with their opinions. They found it kind of boring. Like, there's a meme going around of a guy who actually passed out during the Game Awards.
Yeah, there was one guy who was doing a total Chad sleep. Though speaking of those jokes, there's somebody, because Ninja presented an award. He was sitting directly behind somebody. I forgot. Was he sitting directly behind Reggie?
I think so.
I don't know. But so Ninja did a present, and he like had a little bit of a slouch casual because he's a millionaire, doesn't need to care about anything. And when Reggie Fils-Aimé came out, which was for best freshest indie, he had it on his Terminator shades and power walked out because his body was ready.
I'm gonna retweet this again anyway.
And Reggie's still cool.
Yep. Let me see here. I'm thinking, what the? I'm sorry, I have to. Okay, hang on. Patrons, I'm sorry, you get to see this, but I have no idea what just fucking happened.
Hold on, I have to retweet that. Does this have audio? It's a TikTok. It probably does. I don't think
it does. It does have audio, but you don't need audio.
Okay. Well, there might be some slight noise then as I turn it on and mute it. That was a gotcha moment there. That was like a double. I was like, why the fuck is there a donut conveyor? And then it just fucking flies. Jesus. Just like whoop. Okay.
Donut out. But Yeah, like honestly, like I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed the Game Award.
No, I mean, hey, some years you don't have all the news in the world, right? Like, that just happens. Because, let's see, we've talked about Game Hell next March, or just next spring in general. Because it's like, let me see, we've got FF7 Remake, we've got, Persona 5 Royal, the English release anyway, the worldwide release. We've got Resident Evil 3 Remake, then we got Cyberpunk 2020. Not that I'm super caught up about Resident Evil, but it's a big game release that's in that zone. I feel like there's a couple more. I'll have to have a think about that. Yeah, so I was just having to think about the games hell of early next year, right? Because, I listed them off. There's FF7 Remake, Persona 5R, Resident Evil 3 Remake, and Cyberpunk 2020, and I think a couple more in that space.
Yeah, I know there is, but I can't think of them off the top of my head because I don't want to kill myself.
Yeah, so basically, like, those are already known quantities and have been for a while, so it's like the biggest news, I think, at the Game Awards was Holiday 2020, next year. Literally a year away stuff, so it's like...
Oh, yeah, that's right, Last of Us 2 somewhere in that fucking
That's right,
area.
somewhere in there. They're not sure exactly where, I think, because it got pushed back.
Yeah, but...
It's a rough time. Though that does remind me, I was reminded there's one more trailer we should talk about. Did you watch the full version of that?
Full version of what?
Of The Return? The stealth trailer for No More Heroes 3? There's an extended version online. You should look it up and play it.
Like, here's the thing. Like, I've never got into No More Heroes. Like, I didn't have it on, like, I think was the first one on GameCube? I believe so.
It was on Wii.
It was on the Wii, okay. Yeah, so...
It had the saber thing, so it was Wii, and then they ported it to PS3 with some extras after 2.
Yeah, so I never had the chance to play it, so I'm not super in. Like, I know some of the memes, I know, like, fucking Travis touchdown and some of the stuff.
Yeah, I got the PS3 version, so I'm excited because I literally said this on while we were watching it. I was like, oh fuck, I own a Switch now. I can play No More Heroes 3.
But I will say, like, the short trailer, I fucking do love the fucking short trailer.
The trailer was great, because it sets you up that there's, like, it's this weird retro anime style, like, it's Studio Ghibli-esque.
Yeah.
A kid finds a weird fluffy alien who's like, blah, blah, blah.
I love you.
In 20 years, I will return. And then in 20 years, he returns, and he's, like, fucking ripped and super cool. And
he's like, I fucking love you.
Damon, I love you. I have returned. Superheroes are popular in this country, right? I want to fuck some shit up. And then now is like a super rich CEO guy. The kid 20 years later is like, Fu, what are you? By the way, that's spelled F-U, of course, because they have Japanese subs in the trailer, the full version. So I saw that, but he's like, I'm a goddamn superhero. And you think it's an ad for a game called Goddamn Superhero, but then no, Travis on his bike crashes in and he's like, oh, what's this? It's gotta be No More Heroes. It's like, Galactic Superhero Rankings coming 2020. Did they give a harder date than 2020?
I don't think so.
I don't remember.
Oh,
but
speaking of emergence, we had fucking Ikumi-san come on, which I think was a total. She just did a presentation, but she was adorable as usual.
Mm-hmm. And she even tweeted about this, that she showed up to the Game Awards alone without a translator.
Yeah.
So she flew solo on that one. Mm-hmm. I think she presented Best Art Direction.
I think so.
But yeah, so that's super cool of her to come out and sure, she's a little meanie, but like she's popular and she's got energy, and also she works on cool games.
Yeah, like as we said, she's now working with Platinum Games and with one.
Yeah, I think she's technically a free agent, but she showed up with the Okami guy and was like, they tweeted stuff like, "Hey, what if we made some Okami?" And I'm like, "Yes, do it."
God, I can't think of his name now.
I can't remember his name either. We're bad with names, kids.
Like I know his name because Hideki Kamiya.
Yeah, that's right. Like when you say that, I'm like, that's his name.
Yeah. Well,
but yeah,
because I'm sorry, like I always remember his name because I always remember that picture of him young, looking like a fucking and I'm like, yeah, this is totally how this kid will turn out. Looking at him now, hang on.
But yeah, so he's Okami, Bayonetta, some other stuff. Anytime they say from the guy who brought you Bayonetta, it's him. a lot of Platinum's biggest hits. So technically, I don't think she works at Platinum, but I'm pretty sure they're working on a project together, because she also on her Twitter is like Okami, Bayonetta, etc.
This is Hideki Kamiya when he was young, standing next to his mother.
Fuck yeah, it is. So for the audience, he is a total like Bosuzuku punk. Like he's got like the full leathers, the pants, the crew cut, and he's got a little British flag for no fucking reason. Like he is a mook in a 70s Japanese martial arts movie.
Remember, Hideki Kamiya, the creator of Devil May Cry, Beautiful Joe, and Bayonetta. And you look at it and you go, yeah, I see it. I fucking see it.
No. He was born with styles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they're working on some stuff. Sadly, though, the fact that she was the creative director of that, what was it, Tokyo Ghost game? Yeah. And then left before we got a solid release date, I'm like, ooh, that's probably not good for that game. Yeah. Like sometimes when a project is like, okay, you're not needed anymore, you can go do other stuff, right? Like, you leave, but there's no way this game is close to done.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know. I guess I'll keep an eye out on Tokyo Ghosts.
Sure, but if it turns into an Anthem problem where you're like, 2 years later it comes out and it's like, so it's not great, I'd be like, not surprised.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be a day one by.
And then if it does come out and everybody's like, oh, it's really good, I'm like, okay, it's fine.
This is what's great about being pessimistic. If you're right, you are like, I fucking knew it. If you're wrong, well, it's like, oh, it's a good surprise for everybody.
Yeah, I have that problem with lots of communities who are just like, give me all the stuff, give it to me now, give me it exactly how I want it. Delays, what are those? Surprises, what are those? Fuck you. I'm like, you hyped this up, you lied to me. No, they didn't. Just calm down, please.
You hyped yourself up.
Calm down. They said nothing. Like, I can say this, I can phrase this to you, Lucky, because you're not necessarily in the context, but so... People probably know, if they follow us and subscribe to us, one of the video series I do kind of by myself is Star Wars Legion. It's a great tabletop game of Star Wars Plastic Spacemen by Fantasy Flight Games. Super cool. Love it a lot. But so, recently, Fantasy Flight and stuff have been trying to get better about releases. They had an infamously unhelpful upcoming page with, like, 7 different categories that were meaningless. Like, one of the categories was infamously on the boat, which means it's literally on a boat from, like, China or something. But sometimes products would never be on the boat. They would just magically go from in production to shipping now to warehouses kind of thing. So they cleaned it up to basically in development, shipping, out now. Which is a lot more helpful, because it's like, okay, is it being produced and printed? Is it being physically moved? And is it in stores, basically? That's helpful. They've also moved to a system where they used to do, like, this product is coming out Q1 2020. They have moved away from that because people find it really unhelpful to be like, okay, we're going to give you the month now, and as soon as we know the exact day, we will put the exact day on our upcoming page. But with the caveat that if that changes, that can change, because it's not locked in until it's locked in, because that's how shipping works. So a lot of people gave them grief, even though they gave that caveat, because a lot of products for Legion and stuff got pushed back from December to January, which is sometimes happens in the holidays, as you got a lot of stuff going on. It's a shame, but yeah, it happens. But then they reached out into Discord and like Facebook and stuff and said, don't worry, even though there's no releases physically coming out in December, people keep asking, will there be news in December? They're like, there'll be news. We're gonna release 3 articles. And then somebody asked them, so when you say 3 articles, how many products is that? And they're like, 5 products. So a lot of people are like, oh shit, they're gonna announce 5 new products. It'll be something really, really cool and whatever. And then they announce the products and they're like, one of them was a paint set, which is cool because it was for stuff that's not supported yet with the official paints, but it's paint, so people weren't super excited. One of them was pretty cool. It was like an accessories pack with some different stuff that I did a whole video and that it's pretty exciting. And the other one was 2 units that have been leaked by retailers for a long time, so nobody was surprised. But a lot of people were like, I can't believe they would hype us up so much by saying there would be 5 new releases and 2 of them are paint. I'm like, they didn't hype up jack shit, guys. They didn't. They just said there would be news this month. Specifically, there would be 3 articles. And then when people asked them how many products that is, they were like, it's 5. And then you guys thought that this would be, I don't know. I think the joke I said on the FFG's forums was, how could this not be the interactive holographic Star Wars Legion TM table with soundboard and stake maker? Like, the full-blown, how is this not, the God release? Because it just wasn't. It's like, people people get hyped up about stuff by themselves and just then they blame it on others, and it's why No Man's Sky flopped, because the No Man's Sky guy didn't know what the fuck No Man's Sky was, but he kept saying it would be really, really cool, and people were like, oh, it's gonna be really cool and new, that means it will be literally everything. And that's not how games work. Not that you can't fuck up marketing. Mm-hmm. Like, I think Anthem was kind of like that, where very clearly they didn't have an idea what the fuck Anthem was. It's come out through, like, interviews and research they did not know, for, like, until, like, 6 months before it came out. So, yeah, okay, sure. It's really hard to market, and you can fuck that up by not admitting you don't know what the game is and marketing it as something that doesn't exist. But still, it's like, people are really weird with expectations, and I have learned to temper my expectations.
I'm sorry, while Omega's been watching, going on about this, I've been watching a Japanese porn actress play Fortnite.
Okay, that's an interesting non sequitur.
Yeah. I was on Twitter and it just popped up. Well, it's not her playing, it's just her official account.
The power of Twitters.
Yeah. I'm sorry, it's just that thing that makes me giggle inside. It's all like, I know this girl's in porn, but she also enjoys Fortnite.
Right, it's cool. She can, there are some people in porn, especially in Japan, who would not want to admit they do anything or that they did porn ever, and that they're those people.
Yeah. I'm just on Twitter, so don't mind me. If I find anything else interesting, I'll let y'all know. Oh,
look, yeah, so that's us talking about hype. Well, speaking of hype, I think we've talked about the Game Awards. Do we want to move into Death Stranding?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything left. Yeah, no, I got none.
Alright, so who talks first? Do you talk first? Do I talk first?
Well, you beat it. Your thoughts are probably freshest.
True. Though you did beat it first. But okay, so where we last left off, Omega was in Chapter 8, Hartman? Mm-hmm. I think Hartman was 8. So now, hey, we're going to give the big spoiler warning. We're going to talk about the whole game now. And so that is Chapter 9, Higgs, Chapter 10, Die Hardman, Chapter 11, Cliffhanger, Chapter 12, Bridges, Chapter 13, Sam Porter, Chapter 14, Lou, and Chapter 15, Tomorrow is in Your Hands. It's a lot of chapters, Kojima.
Yeah. I'm going to put this in hell not safe for work.
So, yeah, there was a lot. So I'm glad you did not spoil the crossing the tar belt, because that sequence is fucking great.
Yeah.
I like how the paleontologist gives you a subtle hint, and I was like, oh, that's why there's all those BTs in this fucking corner.
Yep.
And so that whole sequence was super rad. I love that idea that, like, all these buildings and junk just come out of the tar, so why don't you just cross the tar that way?
I thought it was, like, really intense, too, because you just have giant-ass fucking whales, and you're just like, I can't handle those!
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit scripted because they don't come at you directly, but it's still, they are an obstacle that will get you, so it's still, like, exhilarating, and also if you linger too long, the buildings will sink back into the tar. You won't sink all the way through, because it's not programmed that way, but, like, you'll get slow and probably get eaten eventually. So there's some challenge in there, but that was super cool, and then you're actually out west, which is just basically a final boss arena, and it's kind of dull. No offense to the out west, but it's pretty basic. It's like, here's a distribution center. Okay, go get Higgs. Yeah. After Higgs does some weird shit with his mask and stuff.
Didn't I tell you it was basically just a fucking corridor?
Yeah, basically. I think you said something like that. It's a straight line, and it is. Because it's like, okay, you go to the distribution center, so you have a private room, you can rest, blah, blah, blah. You can buy many, many new rockets, which is what I did.
Yeah. I recommended it.
And so, then you go all the way to the distro center, and I joked to you, I was like, so, lucky I've used a few of my explosives to blow up these balloon jellyfish guys, which still are never explained. They just show up. They're just a different form of BT that are here somewhere. I don't know. There's lots of them in this area, though. But, I was like, hey, Lucky, do I need some of these new quadruple rocket launchers that they gave me? And you were like, I don't know, where are you? And I was like, so I'm in a red alert right now after I just had a dream, which was probably somebody's fetish. Because there's a giant lady in it. I don't know if Kojima cares about giant ladies like Nasu does, but whatever. And you were like, no, you probably need something. Like, okay, I'm gonna build 8. Because then you have not the final fight with Higgs, but you have that big fight with the big BT, the big fucker you see in the mandatory death cutscene with the void out, right? Yep. Which, honestly, he's pretty easy. You just need to shoot him with a lot of rockets.
That's why I say get a lot of rockets.
Yeah, the multi is better than the quad, because those are guided. Like, 5 of those fuckers will lock onto wherever Higgs is sticking his dumb face out of him. But, alright, that's fair. It's a big showy boss fight, and it's, Higgs during this whole thing is full of his dumb video game imagery, and then he's like, fuck you, you still lose, go to the beach, bye! So you actually have a really cool scene with Fragile, where she teleports you to the beach, and then you have your one-on-one showdown with Higgs, which is just a Metal Gear Solid boss fight.
It is. It really is.
Like, all the way down to, there's, like, he shoots at you for a little bit, then you punch him, and he's like, fine, I'm just gonna fucking stab you. And then you have to, like, evade and tie him, kick his ass on the ground. I hit him with some cargo boxes, though.
Oh, yeah, like, this is where I actually got real good at, throwing cargo containers.
Yeah, because there's lots of destroyed cargo that has no other purpose than to just pick up and huck at Higgs and bonk him on the schnoz. And then, even after you think you've beat him, he's like, no, we've got one more. It's not a game over yet, and we're just gonna replay the end of Metal Gear Solid 4 because that was the coolest. And it was, and it is. And you get to kick the shit out of Higgs the old-fashioned way, which is really satisfying. This whole sequence is really, really good. Yeah. Because, you get to do all the button prompts, and you get to beat his ass up, and then you're like, okay, we saved Amelie, Fragile gets her revenge, she says her catchphrase. She says her catchphrase a lot of times in the ending sequence, so much to the point that when you get to the epilogue, when she goes to say it, Sam says it at the same time, they make it into a joke. But, so, that's really cool. You think, oh, that was definitely the final boss fight, it's probably over. But then things get trippy, which I like.
Oh, yeah.
Because, she says that we can go back, Amelie's like, we can go back east through the beach, just, we gotta run there. After she's a little catty with Fragile, which I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So you just run on back, and, then when you get there, though, Amelie disappears, as it were, and you see Die Hardman in there, pointing his gun at Bridget, which is really interesting. And then Cliff comes out of there, and Hardman freaks out, and you're like, that's really interesting. But then Amelie shoves you out, and then, Deadman is like, hey, Sam, shit's fucked. We need you to come back east. So this sequence was really interesting, the first section, as you have to cross back through the central.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's, they introduce a couple of the BS mechanics, which is the super hard time fall, and, also the fact that BTs are weird, i.e., there are no more wandering BTs, you enter a BT zone, it just turns into a catcher fight.
Yeah.
Which is a little frustrating because you get stranded at a safe house that the Mountain Knot City guy built for you with no shit. And you have to cross terrorist territory in some BT zones.
Yeah, you find out that the chiral network is just fucking down.
Yeah, I don't think it goes all the way down until you get back east, but it's sketchy, so I don't... It's real a pain in the ass. This is the unfortunate part of the ending of Death Stranding, which was Hideo Kojima was like, okay, but how do I make it challenging? Is just, I'm gonna take away all their toys, which is just frustrating.
Yeah, so do you know how I dealt with the fucking random BT zones? I just turned around and walked right back out of them.
That's fair.
Because once they
I was stubborn. I was just like, no, fuck you. I'm gonna sprint to the other side, and I'm gonna get on my zipline, you motherfucker. Because, hey, guess what? If you stop at a zipline in one of those zones, your zipline sinks into the tar, and you have to get off. And I'm like, oh, no, you didn't. I will walk to the next one. Fuck you very much. Honestly, I got killed more by trying to get through the terrorists, because I was like, I don't want some of their shit. Oh, no, I'm dead. I died twice, and I'm like, okay, fuck it, I don't need their shit. And I went around the long way, and I did the actual stealth thing. By the way, if you point your camera and press the call-out button, Sam will yell names at terrorists and mules. Yeah, it's pretty funny. So that was a little weird, but also this is where you would get the final pizza mission. And you're right, we figured it out. And like I said, I do love that the final text is pretty explicit, because it's like, well, Sam, I'm real glad you brought me all those pizzas. By the time you read this, I'm gonna be dead because of you know who. But hey, thanks for all the pizza. And the only problem was that one time you didn't deliver that thing I wanted to. That kind of upset me. But the pizzas were good. So I'm gonna come clean with you. I got one last delivery. Deliver me a pizza, and if you do, I'll let you in all my secrets. Yours truly, Higgs Monahan. And I'm like, fucking knew it. So of course, Higgs makes you deliver one last pizza to his shelter.
It's a pretty awesome moment too. Because this is like one of the only times you actually get to go down into a prepper shelter.
Yeah, we actually get to see what it's like. Like, you can physically go down to rest, but you don't get to see it. So, he has his weird death mask hologram there. And then he's got his room of crazy, where he's really upset about you. And then there's a memory chip which has the last of his journals. Yes, also the Journal of an Unknown Man was Higgs.
I figured that out actually pretty quick.
Sometimes Kojima is subtle, sometimes he's not subtle. The Higgs stuff was not as subtle as you think. Like, some of it I think was subtle enough that you missed the twist, but in general, the fact that Higgs was like this guy doing those things was not subtle. But when you do Higgs, like you said, you get the Higgs custom guns, which can shoot golden bullets, which are super effective against regular BTs, which will no longer appear in this game. Well, there's some do, but still, it's not as many as you'd like. So I assume it's mostly for like post game shit when the game goes back to normal. But yeah, you get some fun stuff you can do. I always wondered if Higgs was going to try and like get his last revenge. Like, is his bunker going to blow up? No, it was fine. Then we get our final fight with Cliff. Not Clifford, not Unger, Clifford Unger. They don't ever describe it, but I assume it's Vietnam?
Yeah, they actually call it Vietnam if you go to the Nightmares and Memories.
Oh, okay. I didn't look. So yeah, this is another full-blown Metal Gear Solid boss fight. There's tall grass, you gotta fight guys, there's some sand and stuff. It's pretty cool, but I feel like after doing it like 3 times, it kind of loses some of the luster technically. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just the same pattern again, only you probably have cooler toys this time. But the set piece is interesting, and the ending is really important for a lot of reasons, because you have this big dramatic scene with Cliff, and he gives you his dog tags. And we figure out stuff that it takes a while for the game to make explicit, and for Sam to figure out.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, though, this does remind me, I do owe you an apology, actually, because I said something.
Yeah.
Because we finally figure it out. But yes, spoilers, because we're gonna mention it a lot. Sam was Cliff's BB. Those are Sam's memories, and it's revealed in the post credits that Lou actually is a girl, and now her name is Louise.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I can't really fault you for saying what it is, because when we started out, we didn't fucking know that.
No, that's true. When we started out, it was a Kojima double fake, where it was like, in the memories it's referred to as a boy, and it's not really clear, and then when he goes to name it Lou, you're like, oh, so it's definitely a boy. And then it's like, at the last minute, it's like, well, I guess not. It's like, okay, Hideo, that was a weird last minute fake out. Okay.
I was technically correct.
You were, but we had no way of knowing at the time.
Yeah, so I will still say, pull the, aha, I was right all along, but it's not a very strong.
Yeah. But so we have this really dramatic scene where, Cliff gets to talk to his son for once and be like, yes, you are my bridge, and Sam doesn't get it right away. Don't worry, they will literally exchange this dialogue again in another long-ass cutscene, and Sam will get it then. I'll spoil it. I'm a little salty that this game ends, 2 or 3 times. But that may have been because it was 4 o'clock in the morning by the time it ended the last time, and I'm like, okay, Kojima. We'll talk about all that more when we get there. So when you beat that boss fight, you magically teleport to Eastern. Victor saved your ass. He hauled you in out of the rain. That's cool. And then you get to East, and here comes the double kicker. So not only is there a lot of BT bullshit, like the mountains are full of jellyfish and stuff, the timefall has been heavy and constant. All of your structures have worn away.
Yep.
You can only and Deadman doesn't spell it explicitly, but you can only rely on other people, which I bet. So how was this experience for you, Lucky?
This was horrible.
Mr. I don't, sometimes I play offline, because he's like, you can only rely on other porters. So,
here's the thing. No, here's the crazy thing. I went on for this section, I went back online, and there was still nothing. Well, I should say
it may just be because they wasn't populated.
Yeah.
I had a couple of things, but mostly it was just a couple of bridges that honestly may have been the ones the game made me build anyway.
Because this is what I noticed, once people, I don't know about you, but once people built shit in, on whatever server, a lot of them just let their shit to fucking fall apart. Especially back east.
Yes, a lot of people will just, or possibly that's just the nature of the net, because like I said, we never understood how the netcode worked, so it's I don't know, but a lot of your shit will break down.
Yeah, it will. You have to give it up to, level 3 so it can get, increased resistance, but even then, it's still decayed, and I actually remember, I went back east, because when I was getting my fucking Legend of Legends, and I went and like updated and upgraded everything, so just in fucking case things will work out. But like when I went back there, everything was like either like red, like I had like 4 or 5%, like there's bridges that were just like, and so I'm just like, wow, do people just like literally just put these down and forget about them? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess that's
and
maybe, like,
some may do, or they may not, but maybe if you repair stuff.
Well, yeah, because you can repair their stuff, but...
Oh, and Axe, they're called golden bullets, but they, much like hematic rounds use your blood, golden bullets use your chiralium. In addition to also physically using bullets, which is kind of weird.
It's weird. It's a chiralium coating.
Yeah, but they're fun. So you have to traverse all the way back to the capital this way, which wasn't that much. It was just a little bit of a pain in the ass to just, drive through past BT zones and like just be like, no, fuck you, I'm going around. Until you get to the very end when you can't because a giant space whale from nowhere comes out. And I even said this in games. I'm like, okay, Coachman, why did you think this was a good idea? Like, I get that somebody in the design phase, not necessarily Hideo himself, but somebody was like, okay, so even though we beat Higgs and that was like a really satisfying boss fight, and even though we beat Cliff and that's a really satisfying boss fight, there has to be like a boss fight at the end, right? Like, I don't know if it's more of Kojima's fake out shenanigans or what, but like, you have to fight a giant space whale and it's really boring and really dumb. By the way, this was the only time a BT ever killed me. Cause, hey, spoilers, watch where you stand, because if it jumps out of the tar and eats you up, that's a one-hit kill. You're dead. And I fucked that up somewhere and wasn't watching my footing the first time and got 8 in, like, the early red of his HP. So I was pretty close to done and had to do it all over again, which sucked. I think Lucky is trapped in the tar right now, actually. You were stuck in the tar. So what were your thoughts on the quote-unquote final boss?
See, I thought the whale was pretty cool. Like, honestly, it's like, big, giant balls flying around. Whoa! The thing that bugged me is, once you, like... Because I can't remember if this is the full case in the Central region, but definitely when you get to the Eastern region, the Chiral Network is down. You can't fab shit.
No, you're entirely reliant in this boss fight in... There's a couple of freebie rockets and stuff lying around, or... I also got spares thrown to me by other players, basically, throwing, like...
Yeah, but, like, here's the thing. So, like, I went to, like... Because there's the share locker where, people, like, donate their equipment.
Uh-huh.
Every locker I went to, there was nothing. There was literally nothing.
Yeah, there was not a lot. I started with, like, I think, like, 1 grenade launcher or something. There's stuff scattered in the battlefield. The game will never leave you without ammo to fight a mandatory fight, I think. But, yeah, it's a very slow process.
Yeah, and so that was the thing. It's all like, wait a minute, this game is all about connection. Where the fuck is my peoples? Actually, like, after that point, I was literally, like, I went, after I got to the, what do I want to call it, the post game, I literally went and fabbed, like, my limits of things, and I deposited them at the distribution center for people.
Pretty solid. But, yeah, so it's kind of weird. Like I said, I think the concept is not necessarily wrong, it's just, it feels very weird. Tacked on. Like, it's a cool effect. When it rises out the first time, you're like, oh, fuck. But then it's just, okay, so I'm gonna stand on a roof while he flies around and shoot him with rockets, and he doesn't really do anything to me.
You just might shoot a lizard. Because, like, here's the thing. All the other big fights were always connected to Higgs. It's like, Higgs,
this is, and while obviously at this point we're starting to figure out some shit's going on, like, this is the chapter called Bridges, I think, because we had a cool message from Die Hardman and stuff about things. Like, we're learning stuff about the backstory finally. Like, we're getting to some mysteries, but it's still kind of just weird.
Yeah, and so, like, I kind of get, like, this is part of, the escalation, but and because, things have been set into motion, but it's like, there's no real reason behind the whale. It was just a cool fight.
Yeah, honestly, I think it would have been cooler if just, like, oh shit, a tar belt's formed over that spot, and you have to cross it again, like you did in the before, and maybe now the whales actually, like, come after you kind of thing, but...
Yeah.
It's, for a game that you can usually get out of stuff without fighting, or other fights have been pretty dramatic because, like you said, Higgs is there. This is very weird. And I said, it feels a little tacked on, especially because we're not even at the real climax. It's another fake out climax, because now you have to go get you're delivering the crypto buyouts to, Fragile, because she's teleported a lot of people and she's fucking dying.
Yep.
So you go back to where this began, which is cool. You go back to the isolation ward. Then it's like, okay, here, I'm going to leave the kid with you. Because I don't know about you, but since I could no longer was able to refresh my BB, Lou was autotaxonic, because you can't unfuck that in this stage in the game.
Mine wasn't, but
I don't know. Maybe you got a little bit better at avoiding some of those BT zones than I did.
Well, I
was stubborn.
Like I said, when I got into the BC zone, I literally did a 180, walked out of it, and it disappeared. And when you go back in, it doesn't appear. It does the.
How bullshit. Okay. Yeah, so I was dumb to be stubborn. All right, so that's probably why yours was okay. Mine leveled out because it was like, okay, I had to run through zones while BTs tried to eat me. They didn't really hit me usually, but in general, being in a BT zone freaks out Lou.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. The first time I tried to ride my bike and my bike just stopped, I'm like, I ain't dealing with this bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, so
so I cheesed the game a little bit, but it was a...
Well, the game's being very bullshit. It's very fake difficulty. Oh, look at all the stuff you built. You can't use it. Haha.
Oh yeah, no, I remember why I fucking said fuck no, because if did you see the white fucking not the white or gold fucking grabby guys when you were going through?
I saw some of them were gold.
Yeah, if those get a hand of you and pull you down, you don't get dragged, you just die.
Oh, okay. So they have more instant kill bullshit, because I think you were ghosting when I talked about this, but the giant space whale at the end can totally eat you if you're not watching where he is, which is a little BS because it's an omnidirectional tar field, so it's like you have to be looking in the direction to realize he's getting closer to you.
Well, that's what I use the Odotech for.
Yeah, he kind of sees, but like I said, it wasn't very obvious to me that it was happening until it happened, and then he ate me and I died, and I had to do it over again. Luckily, the game did kick me out too just right before the fight anyway, but the second time I was much, much more careful about what I was standing on, okay, oh, this shit sank, I need to move to a new one, just in case. Because I'm pretty sure he doesn't eat the buildings.
Did I mention that I learned that you can actually change the terrain of locations by void outs?
Yes, you did. I never voided out.
Yeah.
I never killed anybody, I never voided out.
Yeah, I voided, I can't remember what I talked about on air, but yeah, apparently some of the fucking large BTs have grab attacks that if they grab you, they eat you and it causes a void out, and that void out will
Even
actually
though
change
I'm pretty sure Deadman explicitly says your body won't cause a void out, but whatever. Yeah, so usually the times I died were mandatory. They were like, oh, well, missions failed. Package didn't get delivered.
Vision
whatever. Gotta restart. They were storyline stuff. Or I died of natural causes, basically. I don't know if there's anything natural about falling off a cliff down a river, but yeah. That was a good couple of mine. I got shot by terrorists a couple of times. But yes, so I never actually caused a void out. But yes, you can blow up the terrain, which is a cool effect. So hey, I think that's an achievement for me. I think that's the first Kojima game I got through where there was a non-lethal run, which I did first try, because it wasn't actually that much of a pain in the ass.
No, they give you a lot of tools to not kill.
Well, I think it's honestly because even more so than Metal Gear, killing somebody in Death Stranding is a pain in the dick. It's like, okay, you have to incinerate the body, or I believe you just get a game over if you let it sit. Although, hey, guess what? You can let the president's body sit for a long time. Yeah, apparently that won't cause a game over if you don't fix that in 48 hours. For reasons. But yeah, so we begin where we end where we began. You feed Fragile the crypto buyouts, and they're like, okay, Sam, you're the package. Alright, I'm going to put down my BB. I'm going to go talk to her. Because they're like, that's the thing, we've introduced this new concept. Because Deadman goes, in true high-level sci-fi fashion, there's escalation of the MacGuffin stuff, so it starts at just it's just weird chiral science stuff, and then you deal with Hartman for a while, and he's like, the big 5 extinctions, and the tar, and the umbilical cord was evolved to mimic some weird hocus-pocus bullshit. And okay, Hartman. Which is that's the in-game version of okay, Kojima. But it gets real 2001 existential sci-fi bullshit, which I'm like, okay, that's fine, that's what this is.
Yep.
Death Stranding is that movie.
It is.
But so, apparently what Higgs is trying to do is use Amelie as the extinction entity to start the 6 big extinction, which will involve a giant antimatter void out which will wash over the world and blow some shit up, and humankind will be extinct. So you stop that by punching him. But then it's Amelie's still on the beach and shit's freaking out because now the chiral network is all hooked up and it's real freaky. So you're like, it's probably bad. We got to go talk to her because she's clearly gonna trigger this deliberately or not deliberately. And Sam's the only one who can reach her because it's not explicit until later, but they allude to the fact that Amelie is the source of like beaches, dooms, repatriates, all that stuff is like because of her interference. So Fragile can't force her way onto Amelie's beach with her powers, but Amelie would probably let Sam pop in. So he's the package now, and he's like, okay, deliver it, send it, and you pop off, and now you're in the real ending. It will take a while.
Yeah.
So you pop to Amelie's beach, where you get to wander around and do nothing for a while. And at this point, I'm going to stop calling her Amelie or Bridget and just say Strand, because I think that's the only way to refer to the two of them, because, hey, remember all that body-soul bullshit? We're just going to double down on that.
Yeah, we do.
So, some of it comes out later, but basically, it's really hard to tell. I assume in the black dress, she's talking to both of herselves, so it's, like I said, it's like Strand. But basically, she tells you the whole story, which is like, okay, so I'm the Extinction Entity. Everything comes from me, including dooms and stuff. Been waiting for you on the beach. And, so I had a weird incident where, as Bridget, I went unconscious, and then my soul ended up here, but my body got up and still was around, so I was two people now. I'm like, okay, interesting. So, yeah, Die Hardman talked about this earlier. The Amelie doesn't exist. She was just Bridget's Ka, separated as a separate character. In typical Hideo Kojima fashion, she explains her name. Ama is French for soul, and then lie. A soul that is a lie. I'm like, God damn it, Kojima. God damn it. Okay, fine. But yeah, basically the whole thing is explained. So like, Amelie was Bridget's soul the whole time, and they were two people, but also one people, and they were the Extinction Entity. And now it's too late. The sixth extinction is coming. I will create the end. And you've got Die Hardman's revolver with hematic bullets in it, and it's just like, okay. So she hands it to you, and she's like, "The gun won't help you here, but you need to. It will be useful for later." And then basically she's like, "Okay, you got a choice." Which, personally, I don't think is a choice. Like, I've seen some places refer to this as multiple endings. I don't think it is. I think if you fuck this up, you just get a weird, different game over.
Maybe,
but I didn't try it, so I don't know if the credits roll or anything.
Mm-hmm.
You got a platinum, so was there a trophy associated with this? Like, doing the quote-unquote bad end?
No.
Yeah, so I don't think it's really an ending. I think it's a non-standard game over. You're supposed to do the thing, which is, if you try to shoot her as she walks in, because she's like, okay, I'm gonna walk into this ball of fire at the end, and when I do that, antimatter will explode and the universe will be over, because... So, as a character, Amelie, Bridget, whatever, is kind of weird, because she's like, okay, so on the one hand, I don't want to cause the apocalypse, but also if I cause the apocalypse, I want it to be quick and clean. I'm like, okay, maybe don't?
I think she says something like, it's like she is like, things have been set into motion, like it's gonna happen.
Yeah, and so she's like, so it's inevitable. I don't want you guys to waste on and whatnot. So she's gonna walk in there. Your correct option is to put away your gun. The bullets do nothing.
Yeah,
and I had a little hard time figuring this out because it was a little esoteric. But if you put away your gun and walk up to her, you can hug her, and that's like, okay. And then she's like, nah. And Sam's like, no, I'm fine. Listen, I'm here for you. It's okay. And she's like, okay, well, you did the thing, so you're not gonna stay here and be annihilated. So I guess I'm gonna kick you out, and like, the extinction's gonna come eventually, but you'll survive, and maybe you can do something. Because Sam's kind of in this come around to be like, oh shit, I guess I am everybody's last hope, and well, I don't necessarily really feel like America's great hero or whatever. A lot of people believed in me to get here, so the short version is it would be shitty of me to give up on them.
That's something I do appreciate. Like, from beginning to end, Sam is just like, fuck America.
No, Sam's not here for any of the, like, the imagery or anything. He's not here for a flag. He's here for people, ultimately.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, honestly.
And even then, it's because of people, in a sense, that he leaves at the end. Mm-hmm. But we'll get there. We'll get to the double ending. But yeah, so you have this big long cutscene. She explains everything. And ultimately, I think this is where we get the message, as it were, of Death Stranding, which to me kind of seemed like, so you can't stop extinction, right? You can't stop death. Everything will die. That is just how shit works.
Yep.
But if we all stick together, if we all stay connected, if we work together, we can put off that extinction, that death, and we can live an okay life in the meantime.
Yeah.
Right. Just because you will die doesn't mean that your life is pointless, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of saying that it's not necessarily the best to just get it over quick, as it were. Like, you should have some struggles. And okay, that's cool. There's some other weird stuff, like what the fuck is actually going on with Strand as the extinction entity. That's just kind of I guess that's a thing now. Okay, I'm just gonna have to roll with it and accept it as part of the universe. I guess that's how that works. Hartman told me so. But yeah, so I skipped over it. They did a reveal that Amelie was nobody actually ever saw Amelie. She wasn't ever physically anywhere. She only appeared in the chiral network because she's been on the beach the entire time. She's not physical. And she was manipulating Higgs, which was alluded to by some of his other stuff. And, like, because she controls Dooms, she was able to give him lots of extra powers. And
she was also manipulating Sam to an extent, too.
Yes, she's been pushing Sam because, on the one hand, like I said, while she doesn't want to cause the apocalypse and was like, Sam could probably stop this, and she ultimately comes to the conclusion that nobody can stop it, so it's better to just get it over with, even though Sam can still, in a sense, stop it. He can stop her from just annihilating everything, but still, like, move on. But so, there's a lot of exposition, and ultimately, I think she says this later on the Sam's Beach segment, but, you know, extinction is not the end of everything, because in those extinction moments, just before extinction, species rally, they come back, they evolve, they take new shapes, which is true, by the way, because not all the dinosaurs did die out. Lots of dinosaurs became avians and became birds. So when you eat a chicken, you're eating a dinosaur that survived extinction. Just think about that. But I think ultimately the point is that, yes, mankind will probably die eventually, but they'll also maybe become something different in the meantime, too. But a lot of that comes out in the really long credit section after that. So, after all that, the big climactic cutscene, which you think is the climax, and it kind of is, but also it's not, because the game's not fucking over yet.
The credits do roll.
Yes, you go to Sam's beach, and so Sam is dead now. You can tell because his skin is all gray and stuff. And you just have to wander around his beach while the credits roll, and
when you get tired, you take a squat.
And when they do that, Strand gives you exposition about stuff. She explains how you came to be and how she kind of manipulated things and kind of being both halves of herself. It's a lot of confirming all the stuff you could pick up from subtext anyway. So I'm kind of on it, but Kojima likes his big expository dialogue.
He doesn't exactly exposit on how you came to be, but
yeah, it doesn't necessarily reveal explicitly, but it's like, here's how come you came to be here. Is like,
yeah,
you died as a baby, you met me on the beach, I fixed you, I sent you back, that's what kickstarted all this. Like, she explained that all the weird dreams of extinction Dooms sufferers get is from her because she dreams those. Like, she's been dreaming about extinction forever, kind of a thing. Like I said, it's really unclear on what exactly the extinction entity is. Is it just, like, a person who happens to be born with the Proto-Dooms Death Stranding thing, or, like...
I think it is, because, like, they were showing off, like, at all the other extinction events, like, people with, like, these weird-ass umbilical cords were showing up. So it was, like, you know, I think it was, like, a patient zero kind of thing.
Right. So, yeah, it's, like, it's a little weird, but also you could be like, is she, like, the goddess of death or something? Because she controls the beach, which is the gateway to the afterlife? I don't know. Like I said, it's a little ambiguous, but I don't think it matters, ultimately. She is the extinction entity, and she is the source of all the stuff. So, yeah. So the credits play, and I'll Keep Coming by Low Roar plays, and you get the full credits, and then you get a pretty cool scene where, like, you start to hear people calling, and you see the 5 figures again, but it's your friends, it's all the connections you made calling out to you. And later Deadman explains, so he's like, so we did the whole thing. We, like, Mama separated from Lockney to find you, because she's a ghost lady now, and when Hartman died, he confirmed where you were, and then we had Fragile send me and BB to find you after the director, Die Hardman, reminded us about the fact that you had his gun, which was the connection, you know, blah, blah, blah. Because the gun was filled with Sam's blood bullets, so everybody was connected, and it was a cool metaphor. And then Die Hardman gives his inauguration speech, because he's the president now. And it makes sense that, like, they still need to go forward with the UCA, because we do need to, like, come together and overcome extinction and whatnot. But, like, Sam is like, nah, I'm done, though. I have no ties to anyone or anything, is how he phrases it. But we get the scene I alluded to earlier. We get what people are calling Cry Hardman. Because we have one final confrontation, because we don't actually get this out of the way, because Die Hardman alludes to some stuff and says some stuff, but he doesn't get to, like, let it all out until this scene where he, like, falls down bawling at Sam, because he has to explain everything, and he's like, so I was the guy, I worked with the president, I did what she asked, because I loved this country, and I loved her, and I'm kind of like, okay, dude, that seems a little forced, but whatever. But then he's like, but also I love my captain, he's the reason why I survived. Like, I thought I was an action hero, but he was my hero. By the way, I don't know when they explicitly reveal this, but the reason why he's called Die Hardman is because his name is John McClane. Like, it's not even like a cool thing. It's just it's a dumb thing soldiers would say.
Yeah,
you'd be like, "Oh, you're John McClane, like Die Hard. You're Die Hard man." Yeah,
honestly, that would happen.
No, that's like you think that you get like cool nicknames like Maverick. No, you get nicknames like Goose. Like, people will come up with something funny, or it'll be a fun story. Like, if you get a badass nickname, it's probably because you were a Billy Badass, but most people aren't. But yeah, so he basically explains the whole thing, which was like, so, the chiral network is made of babies, because it is. In case you didn't pick up on that when you had to deliver the thing to finish the chiral network, and it was a BB pod. And you're just like, this package is shaped kind of suspicious. One of a kind, you say. And so Sam was gonna be one of the BBs, but he was the captain's kid, so it was like, I betrayed my captain, he died, I don't expect you to forgive me or to be forgiven, but I guess the captain forgave me or something for some reason or whatever, because he met me on the beach and, like, let me go. And then he's like, but maybe that's how stuff should be, maybe it is my penance to live, because clearly, like, and shout out to, I don't remember his name right at the top, but, Die Hardman's actor and his character writing. Like, we said that we felt that it was unfortunate that he got the exposition role, he got the colonel role, where he has to call you every 5 minutes and be like, Sam, in the exact same tone of voice, you know? But he has a really great character arc here, which is like, yeah, he did some bad stuff and he did some good stuff, and, like, you can't necessarily hate him, because he hates himself, like, as much as you could be mad at him. Like, he's way more mad at himself. And, like, he doesn't necessarily want to be doing this, but that's, like, his penance is to, like, be alive and rebuild America and do all that stuff that he did all this fighting for. And then Sam doesn't really forgive him either. He just kind of stands there and takes it, and then he hands him his gun back, and he's like, here's what you told me. A gun won't help you here. And he's like, thank you, Sam. And I'm like, I don't really get what you got out of that message, but okay, I'm going now, bye. It was, like, 3 a.m. at this point.
Yeah, like, and here, like, at this point is where, like, I got hit with fucking feels, like, this entire section after this.
No, that's the thing. We already had you thought we had the emotional climax, and then you thought we had the emotional climax. No. Hideo Kojima has one more climax for you, and one more set of credits.
Yeah.
So now, this was 13 Sam Bridges, right? That was the big setup, because you're, like, your big thing. No, now it's episode 14 Lou, because you go out to the distribution because you're going to leave, and Deadman's like, okay, Sam, we got a problem. The kid is dying, and there is an executive order. It is not to be let out of the pod, because there's like a 70% chance of failure. You're not supposed to take him out. It's dangerous. It's unsanctioned. And Deadman is like, listen, it breaks my heart, but it has to be disposed of. I can't go against Bridges like that. I cannot, even though I don't trust the director, I can't go against him, because that would, go against the whole point. But hey, let me see your cufflink for a second. Okay, it's turned off. There's nothing to stop you from taking it off here. It'll turn back on once you're done with the incinerator. And he's like, okay, bye. So, it's subtle, but Deadman sets you up to, like, the reveal. And then you walk back to the incinerator as the sun is coming up?
Well,
or going down?
But, like, here's the interesting thing, because at this point, Sam keeps trying to plug into BB, and before, when you do this, you would zoom in on BB's face and eyes, but this time you zoom in on Sam's face.
Right, they're making it explicit, because they've already revealed it, like, twice, that Sam doesn't necessarily get it quite yet, but you, the player, get that these are Sam's memories. So he does a couple of flashbacks to some important stuff with Cliff and his wife and things.
Mm. Lisa.
Lisa
and
Bridges.
Die Hard Man.
And President Strand wearing this. She was the original one wearing the skull mask.
Yep.
Which is a kind of a weird touch.
I didn't get that. I don't know.
No, I don't know. I don't know either. It was just a theme thing, I guess.
So it so you at this point you've probably put together all the clues. It's all like oh, that like the bridge baby was Sam.
Yeah, Sam was BB in that case.
Yep. And Cliff was your father.
Yeah, and he died trying to get you out.
Yep. But he failed, and it ended up with both him and Sam getting shot.
That's not because, like I said, Amelie Bridget, whatever, on the beach alludes to that because you get to see her bring you back the first time as a baby, obviously. So, like, again, this is really making it explicit to Sam stuff that was suggested before, but it becomes more clear. But the more importantly, after the first couple of these flashbacks, it's like, so I have to like look at the map because the way I felt it, technically wasn't. It felt like the sun was in the north by the incinerator, but I guess that must be east or west, whatever.
I don't know. Like the whole
it was thematic, okay?
Yeah. Like again, we're literally ending where we began.
Yes, we're going back to the beginning, and we have to deliver another quote-unquote body to the incinerator, only this time, there's no BTs, there's no timefall or anything, and BB's theme is just blaring the whole way.
And it's such a good song!
Yes, and it's the lullaby that, Cliff was singing earlier, which you unconsciously whistle to yourself.
Yeah.
So you go through all this big rigmarole, you go up there, it builds, you're like, you gotta deal with the fact that, Lou is dying, you gotta quote-unquote get rid of him, and you're like, it sucks, you're gonna leave. There was, I mentioned to it, the last scene between Fragile, where Fragile's like, she's the first, Fragile Express, rather, is the first sanctioned company to work with, UCA directly, so that's cool and all. She tries to hire Sam, and Sam's like, got no ties to nobody or nothing. So, in the incinerator, we have two big things happen. One, we have a interactive flashback that probably goes on a little bit too long and is a little confusing. Somebody's playing some bass outside. Hopefully, noise canceling takes care of any of that in the final version. Yeah, you probably don't. It's subtle. But, so, Lucky, do you realize how big this section is when you dive into the room and can, like, swim around? You can go down some hallways.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Because ultimately you want to go back to where you're a baby, but it goes through the whole thing, so it's like, you get to see the whole flashback. Die Hardman explains some stuff to Cliff, and he's like, he says that, like, I thought I was some kind of action hero, but you're my hero, sir. And so I gotta tell you the truth. They're gonna take your kid away, they're gonna make it a sacrifice. There's nothing we can do for your wife, and this is why Mads won, because this whole segment is just goddamn. Yeah. Like, so he has to deal with, he can't, Lisa is unconscious, she's a still mother, so she's, like, being kept on life support, so he has to, like, he doesn't have to, but he does, give her a clean death, as it were, and then, pops BB's pod out, and then everything, and runs with him around, and, like, doing Metal Gear Solid-ass shit. He eventually gets shot and gets wounded, and he has to double back to the room, and, like, Die Hardman, now just John, is, like, trying to do his damnedest to keep his captain alive, but he can't, so they bust into the room, and it's, like, full of guns, and he's, like, and he gets shot up a couple times, and he's like, no, and he's like, sorry, John, you tried. But he pops you, Sam, BB, out of the pod, and is, like, sings you the lullaby, and then there's the whole conflict between, because, John can't do it. He can't shoot his captain. He can't shoot Cliff. So the president grabs his gun and shoots him, but it gets him, but it also gets you. And then she's really upset about this and freaks out. Maybe a little too much. It's a little weird. I guess if you just shot a baby that was important, that would be kind of freaky, but it's like, she does the dramatic drop to her knees in front of it and screams no.
Well, you gotta remember, like, she was trying to build, like, this whole, like, this was, like, the start of the Cairo network. And
right.
I don't know, like,
this was us experimenting with Cairo shit, and we'd already had one void out by this point, but I think she was still thinking that this would, like, unfuck everything. But then we go to the beach when we meet Amelie, and we get to see this full scene because we saw some bits of it earlier, but she heals your injury and basically sends you back, while Mads just kind of, Cliff just kind of stands out there in the waves and slowly sinks down, disapproving.
Yeah, and this is the origin of the fucking scar on...
Yeah, this is why Sam has that cross-shaped scar, because as Amelie, his quote-unquote sister-mom lover, this relationship was super complicated. Yeah. Because, like, Fragile goes out of her way to, like, when she's doing the sending, is like, you love her, you totally love her, I can sense it, make sure you're thinking about loving her, boom. I'm like, okay, that's a little creepy the way you phrase that. But so Amelie figures out how to send Sam back, basically. She's like, I know the way back, and just, pops him back to life.
This is why Sam becomes a repatriate.
And why he's special. And this is probably why his blood is special, too, is because, like, she was the first being that he was the first being that she empowered and, physically fixed him as a baby. So it's...
Well, I kind of feel like the way it is because she purposely made Sam go against the flow.
Yeah, basically as opposed to using him directly as, like, of her own volition, picking this guy and saying, like, okay, you got dooms now, you're gonna be super cool and like, control BTs and stuff. She was just like, I just want to fix this and send him back. So he's a fixer. He's a fix project, as opposed to a tool of extinction. And so, But before that, we get to basically replay the scene at the end of Cliff's boss battle with Sam again, with now him actually understanding the fucking context. As he, like, has a conversation with his dad. And I remember at one point, it's super funny when he hands him the unboxed BB, and he's like, is this me? I'm like, that's what we're gonna say about that? Though Sam has some great one-liners, like,
like, honestly,
like the first time before the big BT Higgs boss fight, he's just like, the fuck? I'm like, no, that's that big energy, Sam. Or when later he tells Higgs to fuck off, I'm like, yep. Sam has some great just tells it like it is moments.
Like, honestly, like, that's what it is. Like, sometimes you're just, like, a little flabbergasted, and you just have to say with the simplest thing that comes out of your head.
But yeah, so they have this big bond. He gives him the dog tags again and kind of, goes off, so you can kind of, like, sense all that stuff. And, like I said, it's a little weird. Like, on the one hand, it's really cool that we get to see Sam understand it as a character, but also it's literally the same dialogue from that boss fight again. And I'm like, I just did that 2 hours ago, Kojima. Did you expect me to take a break? Like, it's a little weirdly redundant, but I guess he wants to make sure the point got across. And
I didn't mind it too much in the moment.
No, it's okay. But, like, thinking about it, I'm like, there's a little bit of repeating yourself. I'm like, was I supposed to, like, take a break between some of these parts or something? I don't know.
It is a lot of cutscenes.
Yeah, I think it's like 2 hours worth of cutscenes when you get the actual finish. But so, like, you go through all this big resolution. Sam, like, has a determination. He puts the pod on the incinerator and he puts his cuffs, but then he's like, at the last minute, he grabs the pod back and, like, pops it open and does his best to revive Lou. And you think it's not going to work. You think it's not, Lou is dead. But then, no, the baby wakes up and cries. And it's like, okay, we're good. We've incinerated the cuff band, so they can't find him anymore. He's off the network. And to signify once again we're back where we started, Sam comes out of the incinerator. His hair's not in a ponytail anymore. It's not tied back. It's loose. And he kind of just wanders off as into the rain, which doesn't affect him at all. Yep. To kind of subtly let you know that Timefall's not a problem anymore. And then we get the credits again. The whole credits and nothing but the credits. Well, I believe Churches plays.
Churches, I think it's their song Death Stranding.
Yeah, I think there might be a couple songs too. But yeah, so that all plays. And then we get the post-credits cutscene, which is, like I said, where we learn that Lou's name is Louise, so apparently Lou was a girl. Yeah. And then Chapter 15 is the post-game setup, how you can keep playing, which is like 2 weeks earlier. And they're just like, okay, Sam, we're going to have the inauguration in a little bit. You can just relax, maybe do some deliveries to get back in the swing of things. We tried to fix your structures, and where we couldn't fix them, we, like, moved all your shit into some lockers, so... keep an eye out for that, and just go back and enjoy the game. And that was Death Stranding.
Because apparently you spent an unexplained amount of time on the beach, which might not be one-to-one time.
Yeah, so for the outside, they spent a month looking for you, and on the inside, you don't know how long it was, but it felt like a long-ass time, because literally, that was playable. You wandered around the beach, doing nothing, but occasionally sitting down and going, and having a flashback.
Yeah. But... So, yeah, like, Death Stranding, like, again, like, it's one of those games that, I'm sad that you can't have you can only play it once and have that experience. And I feel like this is one of those games. It's not like I said, like I teared up, like especially like playing BB's theme and going back to like where this began. Like that was hard hitting for me. Cliff's speech about like how becoming a father didn't make him scared; it made him brave.
Yeah,
like all that stuff. That stuff was good. Like the ending, like it's really weird. Like you have all your exposition in the beginning and all your exposition in the end. All your gameplay is literally in the middle.
Yeah, it's got the Metal Gear Solid 4 quote unquote problem where it's just like, okay, to wrap up all the plot threads, we have to have some people talk for a long time because with the way the gameplay loop is set up, there's no natural way to exposit this, right? Like, there's no way for you to gently walk across the landscape while Deadman explains all this shit to you or something. Yeah, he does try. When you're in chapter Die Hardman, he will stop you in the middle of your pizza run and be like, hey, so I dug up some more shit about Die Hardman. It's nothing conclusive. I'll tell you more later. And you're like, yeah, see you in 5 minutes, Deadman.
But, so basically, all the middle plan is, you basically build up this foundation of knowledge to let you understand what's going to happen later. Through, emails, deliveries, exposition, whatever surreal experiences fucking Hartman's going to put you through. I still love that fucking scene, by the way.
Oh, yeah, no, Hartman's scenes are great. Because there's another one when you go to have to build a network where he gets another thing on you and he's like, hey, so don't worry about the timer. It's fine.
I think one of my favorite things about the scene is the first time you go to Hartman's lab, you get spooked by the BT sculpture. The second time in, you just see and he just pats it like, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, he's just like, hey. So, yeah. So, if you have a problem with video games having movie-length cutscenes, yes, Death Stranding will kind of bog down. And, no, the ending is not very interactive, but at some parts are interactive that maybe don't need to be, but the parts that need to be interactive are interactive.
Here's the thing, I went into this game expecting a Hideo Kojima experience, and I got exactly that.
Right, exactly. If you're familiar with his oeuvre, I'm like, okay, so I think it's, when I'm like I said, when I'm trying to finish this game all at one sitting, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and the credits roll, and then at 4 o'clock in the morning the credits roll again, I'm a little like, okay, we just did this. It was a little bit frustrating in the moment for some of these moments to be like, I feel like we just did this. I literally just did this, but did I? I don't know anymore. What is time, Hideo Kojima?
According to the beach.
So, yeah, thematically, it's a great game. Like I said, there's a lot of very powerful themes here. Connections, bonds, fatherhood, extinction. It covers topics big and small. And so that's cool. And I think that actually plays out very well. Nothing's awkward about that. And the gameplay's okay. I think like I said, the big boss fight with the space whale is kind of weirdly placed. I feel like it is one of those things where Hideo Kojima didn't want you to figure out the end of the game before it ended, because it ends 3 times. But I mean, that's whatever. That's his style. So if he wants to make that decision, he can. It's not it's not a true negative to have all these climaxes. It's just a little talking about it and experiencing. It's just a little bit weird because you're like,
I think it is. I think he was just literally trying to stagger the payoffs.
Yeah, basically, because you get first you face Higgs and you're and Higgs has very meta. He drops all the video game lingo, and you get a very satisfying boss fight out of Higgs.
What is this? Didn't he say it's it's time for a goddamn boss battle or something?
Yeah, it's time for a good old fashioned boss fight. And it's and he's like, he has a couple jokes about, no, if one of us dies here, it's game over. No continues. Because apparently if you're repatriated and you die in the beach, you just fuck off to the afterlife immediately. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. Which, by the way, Fragile mentions that after she punches the shit out of him and says she's not that fragile. Oh, wait, no, she punches and says, you're damaged goods. Which is great, because you kicked his ass. But she reveals later that she gave Higgs a choice, he gave her, because she couldn't just pull the trigger. So she's like, you can shoot yourself, or you can stay here stranded on her beach forever. And apparently, because there is a gunshot, Higgs decided to go on to the afterlife. Possibly after he wrote you one last email about pizza. I really want to know when he placed that. At what point did he decide to send you that message and order that pizza? Is it after you've blown up the giant BT? Or is it after you've punched the shit out of him before Fragile gets to him, I don't know. what was I saying? Oh, yeah, so we're talking about Higgs, like, I was saying I wonder when Higgs actually sent us that last email. Like, was it when we beat his giant BT form, or was it, like, between when we punched him and when he got shot? I don't know.
I think he just basically sent it to be delivered at a certain time. He probably said, like, well, I'm gonna go do this thing. If by the time, like, he gets this, either I would have won and it won't matter, or I would have won and it won't matter, or he would have won. Or maybe you just can't get emails on the fucking beach.
Who knows? We'll see.
I don't know.
But yeah, so, like, that's a big satisfying climax, and then it's like, double fake, Higgs wasn't really the bad guy, it was Amelie the whole time, rip you. Even though they try to make you sus of Die Hardman, but it's like, it's clearly implied that Amelie and the president are doing something weird.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, first they try to make Cliff the bad guy, then you have your climax with Cliff, and that whole big moment, and it's like, oh shit, Cliff wasn't the big bad guy, who is it? It's not Die Hardman, because he gives you that message and shows you the doll and stuff. And this is where we learn that terrorist BTs are also from Amelie, because they have the creepy dolls in them. Which is a cool effect. But, yeah, so, like, there's that, and then there's this, like I said, the space whale fight feels, as a climax, kind of tacked on. Like, it's a cool effect, but it's very weirdly placed. I guess it's because you can't fight Amelie. Literally, shooting her does nothing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I tried shooting her in the
head. Well, I was like, I mean, they made me cut the cord, and they made me shoot the boss, so I'm like, do I gotta shoot her? And then it's just like, maybe if I get a little closer? Okay, it does nothing, and then I put the gun away, and it's like, hug. I'm like, okay.
We're gonna save the world with a hug.
Alright, sure. Cool down hug. Go for it. So, like, that's the big emotional climax of your relationship with Amelie, which has been going on this entire time, right? Like, the whole, I'm waiting for you on the beach, you have to come find me kind of shit, and, like, that kind of climaxes all of that, and we get some more exposition, and then we get the resolution of the UCA and all that stuff, and then it's like, the final is like the double climax of what's going to happen to Lou, and will Sam ever figure out explicitly who he is, and he does, and all that. So it's like I said, there's like 3 or 4 climaxes of just like, we've solved it, we've beat the thing, we're going to be fine. Oh shit, we're not fine, we didn't fix it yet. We fixed it, no we didn't. We fixed it, no we didn't. Until ultimately you fix it, but it does... It has a little bit of up and down, and like I said, I don't know why Sam's beach part is playable other than the Koji move is like, I wanted you to feel the existential despair of being alone on the beach, and I'm like, okay, I got it. Like, so, I don't know, maybe it's because we are, more used to Kojima, and at least with games like this, we tend to actually think about the themes a little bit. Like, some of these felt like they were unsubtle hammer blows for maybe an audience who would be a little more casual about it, and, like, for me, I'm just like, I picked up on this already. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just, the subtext wasn't subtexty enough, but ultimately, 9 out of 10. Like, some parts of the game are frustrating and very, very dumb in a way. Like I talked about this the last time we talked about Death Stranding. Like, some of the movement just is nonsensical, where you can, like, if you come to a harsh stop on an ankle-high rock, the packages on your back get damaged, and it's like, okay, there was maybe some fine-tuning of the engine that's just nitpicky, that's okay. And, like, just the vehicles are very finicky, or how, like, once you get the all-terrain skeleton, there's no reason not to use it for everything, or, like, use ziplines for everything until the game is like, okay, you can't use ziplines anymore, fuck you. It's like, but it's still fun, and like you said, it gives you all that progression, and, like, you do feel like you're progressing when you start with, like, hey, Sam, you have a rope, to, hey, Sam, you have a 4-shot rocket launcher to fight space whales. It's like, okay, this is definitely improvement.
They still need to explain to me why a fucking paleontologist has blueprints of grenade launchers and rocket launchers, though.
She knew about the fucking space whales, man. Also, it was the Evo-Devo biologist.
I mean, Evo-Devo, yeah, that's right. Which is even worse!
What does the paleontologist give you?
He gives you...
Like, did you break up then again there? You still here? Did he die mid-sentence again already? Jesus. Yeah, okay, we're back. Lucky did die in the middle of what he was saying. We were trying to remember what the paleontologist gave us.
Oh yeah, it was the air mask. Yeah. And I think Hermetic Grenade level 2?
Something like that. The air mask makes sense because he lives right next to a Vogue crater.
I wish the Vogue kind of came up more. I think there's literally only like 2... Like, I don't know, like there's only 2 areas that I went to that had Vogue. One of them was completely optional.
I mean, maybe because you can also get Vogue cargo, that it's like...
maybe if it pops, it can, like, spread. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's, like, so that you can, like, do more shenanigans with Vogue cargo and not worry about it, whatever. But yeah, there's gear progression, and it's distinct and it's cool. And like the pizza delivery, for instance, actually rewards you for all that, with both knowledge and also cool stuff. So it's fun. Yeah. All right, so that was Death Stranding.
What's our mission clock, by the way?
2:27:40.
We got a little bit of time before we hit our hard cap.
Well, yeah, so we can talk about gacha stuff. Right. So real quick, I will mention Girls Frontline. So I was super gung-ho about Singularity, and I was doing pretty good until I got to Minor Pieces 4, and Agent can suck my dick. She's really, really hard for no goddamn reason. Like, I literally did a training montage. I got everybody in my main echelon who's already level 100 to skill level 10 in all their skills. I tried to improve all their gear. I had calibrated it all, because calibration is important, kids. Like, I got really good calibration rates. I spent a lot of tickets. And still could only get her down to, like, her last third of HP before I got fucking wiped out. And I'm like, well, I don't think there's anything I can do about this. Because I'm assuming that what they want is, like, an even more optimized selection of T-Dolls, rather than just a max-level selection of T-Dolls. And I'm like, well, I can't do that. I only have one level 100 team. My second team's getting pretty close, but, like, it's still not perfect. So I was like, well, I guess I gotta give up. And honestly, I'm too used to that with Girls Frontline to care. It's just kind of sad. On the other hand, if I ever have any fucking free time, I'm sure I can fucking tear up regular story chapters now.
Oh, yeah.
So, sometime I'll have to remember to do that before I get distracted by something else. But right now, I'm taking a little bit of a gacha break. Because HoloLive also ended, and I didn't get as far in that, but also didn't care.
For me, like, I'm still, like, somewhere in the middle of Chapter 2. But I was able to get the final special furniture piece and the ballista on a random drop, so I wasn't so concerned, so I just kind of let it ride. But, like, from what I heard, even a camper, who is our resident, top tier frontline player, he's having trouble.
Yeah, Agent almost kicked his ass. And, like, he's pretty pro, pretty top level. Like, he pushed his M4 A1 to max mod immediately. Which is good, because she's pretty fucking... her new skill is pretty grievous, but still, it's not... Man, Agent just has a lot of HP. I even lucked into getting the Illumination Fairy, which is pretty bullshit, because if you activate her, she gives you night vision both in battles and on map for a couple turns, which is like, holy shit, this is exactly what I want for my all AR team. Well, AR SMG, but yeah. So that was a thing. Some of our community was also salty about HoloLive because it wasn't triple points, so points ladder was hard.
Yeah. I don't want to, like, what's the word? I don't want to be a dick, but, like, at the same time, I'm just like, it's just a fucking event.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and some people are like, hey, we thought, everybody's got something, and we know that there's some people are, like, really into the AL and keeping up, and they have a good track record. We had this response, like, with the login streak with FGO, where it was like, we've fucked up our login streak already, so it doesn't matter to us. But to some people who had a perfect record, that was a point of personal pride, I guess. It's just like, well, I mean, I can't stop you, I guess, so whatever. Yeah. But yeah, so HoloLive ended, and they're doing a little normal-ass Christmas event. I can continue to do some more story maps in Azure Lane, at least. I've pushed some units up, so that's cool. That's fun. Continue to whittle at the default game when you can't beat events, I guess. But I think the real news is a new game came out, and you and a lot of people are pretty excited for it. So why don't you talk about it with that time we got left?
All right. So in the past couple, I think like 3 days ago, a new game was released on relevant mobile platforms called Iron Saga. This is, of course, I'm pretty sure it's a Chinese game that made it over to Japanese, and eventually made it over here. And its themes, it's not waifification so much, although there is a lot of fucking waifus, but it's fucking mechs and pilots.
So this is really interesting. I want you to describe some of the system to me, because I haven't played it yet. It's on my phone, but I'm like honestly, Omega, I don't know if you'll actually like it that much, because, well, for one, it's not what's the word? It's not bug free at the moment, especially in text and translation. And, like, there's some weird bugs where they'll, like, cut off text or, like, skip some screens. And they don't explain a lot of things real well. But I mean, just as a casual dive in, it sounded, because you were first turned on to it because of the soundtrack.
Yeah, the OST is done by one of my favorite Japanese composers of Sawano Hiroyuki, who is number one to me, followed only by Yuki Kajiura. But for those who may not have heard me talk about this, Sawano Hiroyuki is the guy who did the OST for Attack on Titan, Seven Deadly Sins, Recreators, I'll Know Zero, Kill la Kill. Actually, people probably know that one more. And several others like Blue Exorcist. He's the one who has that. He has a very distinct style.
Yes, the iconic Sawano drop.
So he did the soundtrack, and it's good shit. Oh my god, are people fucking?
They're still. I wanted to like tell him to cut it out because I'm recording, and I need you to not be mad at anime manga.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I have an image maker for this. Oh, I'm just gonna post my okay but don't. What do I have saved as?
Like, guys, I know everyone's welcome to their opinions, but I like fucking Sword Art Online. I don't think it deserves as much shit as people get, and people like giving it a lot of fucking shit in our chat. And I'm like,
yeah, I don't. I'm not that hot on it either, but I don't appreciate that.
Like you can't have a conversation about
no,
SAO.
You can't have a conversation without three people being like, it sucks, and also here's why it sucks, and here's the third thing about why it sucks. I'm like, okay, guys, just let it rest, please. Who cares that much? Like, where did it hurt you? and like, we've talked about that before. People are like that with some things where it's just like, why won't you let this go? Like I remember I had a conversation. We have a couple of users who get a little focused on stuff sometimes, and like they're really insistent on like talking about stuff. But like somebody was like, there was an announcement of a new season for something related to Index. I don't know if it was actually a new season of Index itself or what, but they were like really frustrated and had to like let some stuff out. And I was like, so have you never liked this thing and it's still releasing and that upsets you somehow? And he actually had to be like, oh, no, sorry, I should clarify. I used to like this when I was younger, and now I'm not so hot on it, and I just kind of wish they would let it rest. And I'm like, okay, you came in a little hot, but I understand that opinion. But still, it's like, you know, like, gosh, can't you let go of some of this sometime?
That's like, because I would love to be able to talk to this and what I like about it with other people, but I can't do that, and it's kind of getting stuck in my craw there.
Well, you got a show, and they don't.
Yeah. But,
I've posted it twice now. They're not stopping typing. Now they're gonna annoy me. Because I'm like, alright, knock it off.
But, so Iron Saga is this is literally what, got me interested, is I saw, it was funny, it was a YouTube ad for Iron Saga, like the pre-registration. And, okay, I gotta mute this channel. I got to.
Oh, you didn't already mute it?
No, I usually don't, but now I have to. Because
if anybody's got a conversation, I usually mute it just because I don't want to get distracted.
Well, I usually don't mind getting distracted because you talk a fuck ton. But like when I'm actually trying to have like a full conversation, it's like, nope, can't do it right now. But so I saw a YouTube app for it, and I had tried to play this a long fucking time ago, but I couldn't because their weird client was fucking weird. But they're like, no, we fixed it, and I was all like, all right, mechs, pilots, and mechs, waifus, and Sawano Hiroyuki, I am fucking sold. I signed up for the pre-reg like 2 weeks before it came out. It released actually a couple days early. I think it was like actually originally slated for today, but it came out like 3 days ago, and it had a lot of bugs. And it's it has definitely a steep learning curve, and they don't explain it very well. So like here's the thing. Okay, so this is how your teams work. You have your mechs. And you have your pilots, and then you have parts that you can put on. You have parts you can put on your mech, and then your pilots have skills and stats.
Yeah, so that was the first thing I was going to say. It was like sounded super interesting to me because it's actually a bifurcated gacha. Like, do you get mechs as construction style stuff and other things in addition to your pilots? Because that was the first thing that sounded interesting to me.
Like, yeah, your mechs and pilots are separate. You can take basically any pilot and put it in any mech. And it's not just mechs you can get mechs, tanks, you can get a fucking excavator, like, jets, planes, different types of, like, hovercraft and tech. There's, like, a whole sweep of things, and they're rated from, class C, which is, like, these tiny little things, or simple things like a fucking Jeep or a helicopter, to like, Triple S, which are these huge fucking honking tanks, or like, battlecraft. Now, and as I said, your mechs don't really have stats. They don't. They have an HP pool, and they have their different attacks. And you don't really upgrade their guns, like their guns directly. You can unlock more of them, because when you upgrade your mech, you're just unlocking more of its function. You can unlock another attack, you can upgrade its HP, you can unlock its innate special abilities, or like some weird move it might have. You never actually directly upgrade its stats. What you can though do is you can put on parts. There's like 5 different parts, I want to say. That's like core, ammo, support, core, ammo, support, armor, and maybe pet. There might be one more I'm missing in there. I don't know. But those can directly affect its stats and like its armaments and stuff. And you can level those up too. Then you go over to the pilot side, and the pilots have like their own separate stats. They have like their skills with like firearms. They have their skills with melee, reaction time, defense. I think those are the 4 stats. There might be a couple more, but you get the gist. And when your pilots level up, and when they level up, their stats go up. Now, your pilots also have skills, which are innate to them, that let them do specific things. Like the main guy you get, his name is Beckus, I guess I want to say. Like one of his like everyone's first skill is their ultimate attack, which is like some weird thing. Like some of them might like teleport around the fucking battlefield and hit a bunch of things in melee. Some might release like a giant salvo of rockets and missiles. Or some just might like unload every single fucking weapon they have at the enemy. Stuff like that. Then you get into like other skills, like Becca's second skill is anytime he kills an enemy, he gets some health back. And you can level those skills up too. And like each pilot is better like with like certain mechs, because because some mechs only have fucking guns, some mechs only have mostly melee and maybe a gun. And so it's a lot of variation.
Typical mecha genre stuff.
Yeah.
There's always that one robot that just punches people.
Yeah. So there's a lot. It's like, but as I said, they really don't explain. It's like I've literally been playing this game for like 3 days since it came out, and I only realized like yesterday that I can upgrade these pilot skills. I was like, oh. And also basically kind of, I don't want to say like limit break your characters, because everything's like based on stars, but this is the weird thing, because okay, so their stats will level up just when you level up, but if you get their affection, because you can have affection with your pilots up to certain thresholds, you can increase their fucking star level, and they get just a bonus to their stats,
which is pretty typical with affection stuff. Is like that sort of thing.
Yeah, but like I said, it's kind of hard to get their affection up, because you have to do it with items, and you can only usually get like your basic affection items only give you like +1.
So it's like Girls Frontline, where it's like, other than just fighting, the only way to get a girl's affection up fast is to like feed her candy and stuff, but the only way to get really good items is to burn furniture of high rarity. And it's like, when would I have furniture to burn for spare cheesecake?
Well, like, here's the weird thing. It's really free to play friendly, because like the primary currency is diamonds, and they give you a lot of it. You can just get it from they give it to you in special chests. They give it to you in the arena. You literally, like, depending on how well you're doing, like your rank in the arena, you just get a daily amount of diamonds per day. The higher rank you are, you get more diamonds.
Somebody might be a dead man. Somebody might have backtalked me in anime.
Oh shit!
He may want to clarify that statement before something bad happens to him.
Oh.
Like, are you calling me out for something?
Oh, that's bad.
See, that's good. And Robin is here right now. That's valid. Like, if you're like, if you have thoughts, but you don't necessarily want to keep harping on it. My point was that, like, I was explaining it that, like, not only do you have thoughts about enjoyment of the show, but also I don't like the dead horse beating. I got it. There are people who don't like sword art.
Nobody was really doing much, and hey, let me start spelling quotes for nothing? Wow.
Oh, I don't know what to do.
Hang on, I have to...
You should probably say something, because now I'm nettled. Oh, that's on air.
Yeah.
What's... if only I remembered how to give me 6 people a timeout.
Yeah, honestly, my knee-jerk reaction is fucking kick. So where was I? So yeah, like you get diamonds for a lot of things, and just doing stuff, they give you like opportunities just to get free mechs as is, and they have this interesting system that I kind of find weird, but at the same time. So, as I said, both mechs and pilots are on a gacha. Both of them are. But the pilots go through a cafe where that if you like when they hang out, you can like play a game with them, you can give them drinks, you can give them a gift, and if you get their affection up to 60, you can recruit them. So it's kind of it's a slow burn method, but you don't actually have to roll the gacha to get new pilots. Not to mention that the game gives you a lot of pilots just like in story or in side missions. Like, actually, I actually have the game open. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I bought like I didn't spend any money, but I did use the the currency that they gave me in game to roll on the newcomers gacha, and I got like 3 pilots. But every other pilot that I have acquired since then has just been from the game, just giving them to me. And there's some pretty good ones. Like same with the mechs. I did spend like a little bit of the free currency they gave us to get some new mechs just because I was curious to see what would pop up. But like as I said, like I've been getting like A rank mechs like on the semi-regular now, and that's a good thing because like all good things, like the higher rank your mechs are, like the more difficult they are to maintain. They require like a stupid amount of resources to upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
Like
pretty typical.
Yeah, so like as I said, like I had no idea what I was doing in this game because I didn't have the like a big brain moment of what to do here. So I actually had to like yell at Panda because he likes to actually look at this stuff and figure things out. And he's like, yeah, apparently you need to build like a solid A rank mech sign up. I'm like, oh, I got a fuck ton of A rank mechs. And I just looked like compared my list. I'm like, oh yeah, I actually got most of these already. And like I said, the game is still pretty hard because that's the under the hood stuff there. Actual combat, it's a little weird and a bit frustrating. Okay, so if I'm gonna call it, and it's an auto shmup. Basically, you build a team of mechs. You can have 4 in the field at a time. From what it looks like, though, you can actually let's see how many. You can actually have up to 8, but as your mechs are destroyed, your supports will come in and fill in the gaps. But basically, you have 4 mechs or 4 whatevers on the field, and they basically just do their own thing. They attack the enemy on their own. They move on their own. They'll dodge on their own. They use the skill on their own. You can only really directly affect 3 things in combat. 1, you can tap an enemy target and all the mechs will focus on that target. 2, you can use your character's ultimate skill once the gauge builds. And 3, you can grab a mech and slide it to make it boost across the line you've made and dodge enemies and attacks. The only problem with that 3rd thing, though, is a lot of the times that boost just doesn't fucking work, and the mech just does whatever the fuck it wants. You're just like, no, why? Get out of the giant fucking laser beam! There are giant fucking laser beams, by the way.
Of course, it's a giant robot game.
Mm-hmm. So, like, that's a little frustrating at times. But, like, even with these frustrations, I'm still enjoying it. Like, as I said, it's fun to upgrade your mechs. It's fun to fill around with bits in here. Like, as I said, the art of the pilots is top percent.
Yeah, that was the thing that got me, was like, there's a lot of really good art, some of it by artists you would recognize, and it sounds like there's a lot of voice actors I'd recognize too.
Oh yeah, there is. There are 2 pilots, I can tell, like, 2 pilots voiced by Chiba Saito, who among the community will know as Tamamo no Mai from Fate Grand Order. I think there's 2 or 3 voiced by Aiko Kawasumi, voice of Saber. There is Hayami Sayori. Oh god, I can't think of, like, now that I'm trying to actually think of names, there's a lot. There's a lot. People will recognize them if they go through the actual CV list. The only problem is their translation is a little spotty, and so is their text box scripting. But it's good times. Like, there are, like, I haven't got either of the Chiwa Saito. Actually, let's see if I can find. Actually, hang on. I saved a fucking picture of the screenshots. Let me pull it up for the Discord and our Patreon shot of one of Chiwa Saito's.
Also, by the way, I'm trying to pay attention to you as you say this, but we might. See, this is the thing you avoided by just muting it. Now I'm entrenched a little.
Yeah. Like, here's the thing. I could go in there and start yelling, but I don't know if it'd make it better. That's the thing.
No. It's
Yeah,
fine.
this is
I
one-
think everybody who is still here, and now like I said, we won't call anybody out, but that person may have been temporarily kicked because I know we have a lot of community involvement, right? Like, we're nice with the community there. It's really cool that you guys are involved with us, but also when we're running the community server, we're running it, so if, like... So I said this in another context where, like, I feel like everybody should feel free to, like, call me out on shit if they feel like it, but, like, when we are having perfectly normal functions of the server, don't sass me, especially if I'm trying to, like, lay some stuff down about some thoughts and things I have about what conversations we maybe should and shouldn't be having. Like, don't do that. We're, like, Lucky and me are still administrators, so we have to, like, herd these cats. So,
yeah.
It's... it's like with everything. It's not necessarily a normal-ass conversation. We're still running stuff and doing things. So, watch your sass. Yeah. And we'll get a little sassy with you, and sometimes when we're having a little back and forth, it can be funny, but, like, when we're talking about business stuff, we gotta put our business pants on, and then that's when you should not fuck around.
Well, I think there's a difference between being, playfully sassy with someone and then just being utterly belligerent.
Yeah, don't be, if you're being, like, okay, so I don't want to say it's like, we can be rude to you, but you can't be rude to us. No, that's not true. We shouldn't still be assholes, but also, you have the individual ability to leave our community and never watch our videos again.
Yeah.
If you're rude to us, like, then it's like, okay, well, you should take a little time out and think about how you shouldn't talk like that to people.
Tact is a thing.
Yeah, and sometimes we're not good at tact, and I know some people aren't naturally good at tact, but also, like I said, it's just... apparently it's become the meme to, like, we talk about Lucky's tyranny, where he'll just bust in and be like, are you guys causing a ruckus in here? I'll just funnily do some ruckusing. But, like, apparently now it's the joke to say that I'm the law, because I'm usually more relaxed about stuff than Lucky is, but on air, they heard me just now get a little pissed off, which is unusual for me. And, like, when I come in to, like I said, put the business pants on, but put on the daddy pants, like, that's not a really good time to sass me. Usually I'm pretty happy-go-lucky, but reading the room is important.
I'll usually say so, like, I am too. Like, the only time I've really got, like, like, I get depressed more than I get sad. Like...
honestly, I do. Like, to talk about just me, like, right now, I feel a little anxious, because I'm not really good at confrontation, so, like, after all that, I feel kind of like, also, it's like 9 o'clock at night, and I haven't eaten dinner, so I'm hungry, but it's like, I feel a little bit of anxiety about that interaction, like, could I have done better, should I have done better, kind of stuff, but also, like, at the same time, it's like, damn, dude, it's okay. One of our lovely moderators, Jube, is in the conversation and has completely turned it around and is like, hey, what's some anime I could watch again? I haven't been watching anime in a while, so I think it's fine to leave them to their stuff and have a nice, pleasant, constructive conversation.
Yeah, like, Lucky... I like to think that I have a long fuse, but I am a really, really big bomb.
No, yeah, and I understand it too, and heck, honestly, like, sometimes I feel like that, like, it takes a while for me to get worked up, and usually my response is just, I don't want to deal with this. But, like, if you push me to a point, like just happened right now, I'm like, well, okay, I will end this in one swift move. Yeah. Like, and I think, honestly, that's why we can work together, because we don't agree about stuff sometimes. We disagree. And we have little frustrations where it's like, we need to communicate, or just tech fucks us over, and it's frustrating. But usually we just kind of like, and whatever, let it lie. And we are good friends, so we can usually patch stuff up before it gets to the utter point of, like, fucking nuclear throwing shit in the lawn kind of stuff. Yeah. But when people get to us, they do get to us a little. It's just like, okay, I just don't want to deal with you. Like honestly,
Like,
we've gotten
like-
a few salty comments on Let's Talk FGL. Those don't piss me off. Those don't make me feel bad about my life. They just make me feel like, why would you impose this negativity on my life? Why do you have to be like this? Can we not? And that's what I was in anime manga just now, because they were having that discussion, like I said, about Sword Art. And I was just like, can we not, guys? And then it kept going, and I was like, can we not again? And then it was like, no, we're going to keep going. I'm like, okay, I don't think you are. Now we're at the point where I tried the can we not, and people were like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm like, okay, well, no, you're not. Because this is still, at the end of the day, this is my server, I'm the owner, so no, please don't. If I ask you politely, and Lucky and I have talked about this, we let people get away with a lot in quote-unquote our server. Like, Lucky's frustrated by these conversations sometimes. He doesn't come in and be like, shut up, I'm going to delete all your comments, how dare you. He's just like, this makes me sad, I need to ignore this now.
Yeah.
Like, and that's how I feel when people go off in all kinds of conversations. There's all kinds of conversations that are of no interest or even frustrating to me, and I'm just like, I'm just going to mute this channel and move on. And like, sometimes maybe I'll get a little passive-aggressive and let people know, okay, I was here before, I'm not anymore. But sometimes also that matters, because some people are like trying to engage with us, and in that case, we need to let you, the audience, know we're not engaged with that at all, sorry. Like, if you have expectations that we're going to be engaged, no, that's not how that works. So we derailed a little bit there, and we're getting close to our end, but do you have anything else you want to say about Iron Saga? Iron Sky? What actually is the name? I keep getting confused.
It's Iron Saga.
Iron Saga, okay. It's on my phone, but it's on my second page. That is a good summer Osakabehime. I will retweet that.
And that's the other Chiyo Saito character. I'm like, I want that!
Is that first one you posted, is that the one that when I saw the regular art, I was immediately like, that's Adago and the other's artist, isn't it? I recommend.
No, that's actually it might still be though. Actually, let me double.
I don't know, because that one art you posted, I was like, I'd recognize those thighs anywhere.
No, that's Obero. Who that is not the.
So, like I said, there's a couple of artists, and the aesthetics of this seem nice. And while you might not think it, because I think I've talked about before how I've only ever watched one Gundam, and that was IBO, which is controversial in its own ways. I like giant robots a lot. This is funny. We're not going to get to talk about Gensekai any today, I think, but it's like, It's funny. I have retroly acted to my Sky of Hope setting, added Death Stranding to the aesthetics, because even though I wrote that idea way, way before that game came out, I have realized in playing it, I'm like, no, that the themes of like shit's fucked up and we have to rebuild, and also time and space is fuckled a little and it explodes sometimes. That's really on point. It's just mine's more of a super robot take on that rather than a one man reenacts the Postman kind of take.
Yeah.
So it's funny to see those parallels where I was like, oh shit, this is a really good fit for a setting I wrote that was actually about giant robots. And I'm sure if Hideo Kojima could have, he would have put giant robots in Death Stranding. But they didn't fit. So, that's a pretty interesting. I don't think that's the art you originally posted that I was like, that's the one. I know that artist. Cool helmet, though. Let's see what you thought. Hey, audience, do you know, was it Evangelion who popularized the skin-tight plug suit look, or was there something that was referencing? Where does that trope come from? Because it's great, but also, where did it start? Ugh. Lucky, you doing okay down there? You alright? No, he's posting stuff still. He must be okay. Yeah, it's that second one.
Because as soon as I said I'm gonna be right back, I went full ghost.
Okay, that's funny. So, you were just saying that you were half ghost.
Yeah.
Alright. So yeah, you had a weird technical hiccup there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the audience can't see it, but it was that second one I was like, I recognize those thighs.
Yeah, they're good thighs. Like, honestly, like, a lot of the pilot designs are really, really good. And so are the mechs. Like, you don't really get to see, like, a lot of detailed art of the mechs, but, like, in some of the loading screens, or when you first get them, just be like, bam, check out this mech, and be like, fuck yeah!
Yeah. And like I said, I like giant robots. So I was curious, because some of it's peer pressure, because it was a game that's, like, everybody's into it. Like, immediately, like, 4 or 5 of you were like, yeah, this is cool. I'm getting cool stuff. I'm getting pilots I like. And I'm like, well, right now, I need to see if I can man-handle Singularity. If I can't, I'm gonna need something else to do. But I've been busy working on other stuff for a little bit and not in a good place, because, like, I know that the music is a good point, and...
Oh, the story is actually really
Yeah,
good
that was
too.
the other thing I was going to say. Some of you, like Lucky, including you, have been saying that the story is pretty good. So I'm like, I haven't been in a great place to like sit and read it, but I need something else to do. So I'm either going to fire up Pokemon or maybe I'll try out Iron Saga and like actually work through that. Though I'm also playing a little bit of Star Wars Battlefront 2 just casually for just to fill some time. But we're at about 3 hours, so
yeah, it was going up point.
Yeah. I may or may not talk more about Genesis next time, because I am even more further deep, go even beyond on that. And now I'm mostly through, I think, all the technical equipment stuff, unless anybody has any thoughts on reading that to be like, maybe you had this, maybe you had that. And work on fluff, which I've actually been thinking about a lot lately, so that'll be fun to write.
Speaking of fluff, did you add cute and adorable elemental spirits to your list?
Not to pets, not to like animal companions, because I'm like, that's not really a thing you buy.
Oh, I guess that's true.
There's definitely some thoughts. Like I had some went back and forth on like whether you could buy I called it a warg, but like a direwolf. I'm like, no, actually, wait a minute. Let me pull that off that list. I'll build that as a stat line, and that could be like a fluff thing that maybe you like want to tame one, even though they're usually only used by like pork cavalry, because that's a whole JRPG thing. Is orcs ride wolves, and I'm like, I'll like include that as a separate. So I definitely want to do like elemental spirits and other weird stuff as like maybe you can hang out with them, or you could summon them with the conjure special magic spell. But like I don't know if like that's a thing that's like you go to the market, because even though it's really really fucking expensive, you could theoretically go to market and be like, yo, I need a wyvern egg so I can have a wyvern mount. Or, hey, guess what? We're crossing a desert. We need some camels, or we need some Sorga, which is our scary lizard thing. Both of which have a special ability, which means they're stubborn and hard to train, which is hilarious. But anyway, so I want to do geography and culture stuff first, but eventually I will work on basically NPC and adversary blocks, which will involve a lot of fluff on its own and other stuff. Like I said, I've had a lot of ideas. I don't know why this has caught me in such a good mood to write about, but maybe it's just because Genesis is such a universal toolkit, it's so easy to write for. Like, honestly, I've already thought up that there are, like, shit, there's some extra specialization trees I could do for these classes. I'm not gonna dig into that yet, but I'm like, if I can come up with enough, I would do, I'd do, like, what I call prestige classes and just add some extra cool, funky shit in there. And that's mostly for the audience, because I think Lucky is still phasing in and out of reality. Yep. So, yeah. But, yeah, so, if you guys are interested in that, have I put that link in the description before? I don't think I have. I'll put that doc in the description of this video. There you are. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, should we just wrap? Because you're phasing in and out. Okay. I'll probably talk more about that next week, was the point. So, before Lucky explodes again, let us do the YouTube outro, because we're at like 3 hours anyway. So, hey, if you're watching this video on YouTube, be sure to give us a like if you liked it. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section down below. Your thoughts on stuff. But not dumb trolly thoughts, because we just ignore those or delete them.
Don't make us sad or mad, please.
Like, the best you're gonna do is we don't care.
Yeah.
And sometimes we do care. We like your comments, though, in general. So don't give us a comment we don't like. If you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And also consider hitting that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video, because sometimes they're posted weird. Like, I don't know when this video is going up. It might be a while. And, yeah, notifications are interesting. But, also, like it says at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to the episode early in audio format for as little as $1 a month, and it's really helpful to us, supports us directly. And, yeah, I think that's about it. So, tune in next week for another episode of Let's Talk FGO. That'll be after the Eressioning, so that'll be fun, I'm sure. And also, stay tuned to further What's Up for more topics about stuff and things.
And places.
Possibly places, sure. Alright, we out.
Smoke bomb!